as he comes in now, in and bowls. Short, and he works it out to square leg. Long run for the person on the square leg boundary. Picks up, and it looks like Dutton fires it in on the bounce. Then they're back for the second. Good running on the part of Australia. The total goes on to 15. And it's 15 without loss. We are in over number 2.
Yes, and this pitch here at Annesville, the history will tell you exactly what happens. It's a nice, dry evening here in SVG. The pitch is bone dry, and you have to be consistently bowling on that particular line.
So Henry once more in, bowls to Mooney, and Mooney works it down. Fine leg would come off the boundary, and he picks up, keeps it down to a single. Total now on to 16. And
the leg by?
Leg by signal by umpire Jacqueline Williams. And it trickled down to the fine leg, and certainly didn't have the pace on it. And you can see Vol and Mooney now having a bit of conversation. Mooney is on 7.
I believe Mooney is trying to say to her what she has experienced in this short innings so far. Back of a lengthy, you could end up in problems with the batter.
So, Chanel Henry, number 48 on the back of her shirt.
Charlo, consistency is what is needed from Henry. You have to be consistently bowling a ball in that area.
Let's see if she...
6 meter area.
Well, let's wait and see how she handles it. Here is Henry in, bowls, and Vols is working that out to mid-wicket. The big Kiana Joseph couldn't get down. He goes past her. They'll come back for the second. Good running. And a good aggressive running by Australia. And Vol with that joins Mooney on 7. The total now on to 18.
That's what they're known for. They do run the first run quickly and put pressure on the fielder, irrespective of men or women's cricket. That is a trait of the Australians.
Well, they're known to play their cricket hard. So the West Indies would have to be very mindful of that. Chanel Henry once again goes past the umpire in, and he's working out to mid-wicket. Now, Ramnarak is there. There's that change in the field, moving Joseph onto the offside and bringing a more athletic fielder into mid-wicket in Ramnarak, and that went straight to her. And so over number 2 comes to an end, Stanley, and 11 runs coming in that over.
Yes, 11 in that over, and I think they're showing their intentions as to what they are hoping to happen. As I said, consistency from the bowlers is required here, because this Annesvale pitch, you bat first, you settle in, you can definitely get a decent total. And we'll see how it goes from here. But going back to Williams, is that Williams? No. Kiana Joseph. There's no place to hide in T20.
So here is Dutton in and bowls to Vol, who is cutting at that. And I think she was defeated there by the bounce, not bouncing as she anticipated. Went under the bat and through to keeper Campbell.
Yes, I'm making a point, Charlo. There's no room to hide anybody on the field at T20. So whether she's fielding at mid-on, mid-wicket, cover, wherever, no hiding place.
So you have to cover. Here is Dutton once more in, and this time is lifting. He's all caught behind. There's celebration that lifted on her. She fended at it, got the outside edge. Campbell took it, and there's jubilation in the camp of West Indies. And Mooney makes her way back. In fact, Vol makes her way back to the pavilion.
Yes, a delivery that lifted on her, and she could not have gotten out of the way. And she snicked it, and it was easily taken by the keeper. And early breakthrough for the West Indies here at Annesvale, and they must be delighted at an early breakthrough in just the third over, as Australia have lost their first wicket. But there's a very good delivery there from the experienced DeAndre Dutton. Back of a length and lifted, and she snicked it as West Indies drew first blood haze, so to speak, at 19 for 1.
So 19 for 1 in the third over. The very first delivery, the second delivery of the third over. Lifting delivery, she fended at it, took the outside edge. Campbell took it gleefully, and Vol has to make her way back.
She got how many?
So the new batter, it's Litchfield at the crease in Beth Mooney. She is on 6. In fact, she's on 7. And Litchfield settles, looks around the field. So Dottin, with that early breakthrough, should be buoyed by that as she comes in now. Bowls, and she's working that out to square leg. They'll get a single for it. She wants a second, but it's not there. And there was Claxton coming off the deep backward square leg boundary and got that back in very quickly. So Litchfield is off the mark. She's on 1. Mooney is on 7. And the total now on to 20. 20 for 1. We're in over number 3. So 2 left-handers at the crease. There is a slip in Captain Haley Matthews.
I thought they would have sent in the right-hander to keep the right-hand, left-hand combination.
So Dottin comes in once more, bowls, and she's guiding that out to...
What's important, they ran the first one very quickly. So there was an easy trot back to those various creases for a second one.
So Kiana Joseph has been moved from the short fine leg. She's now been pushed into a mid-wicket position. And Dottin walks first, breaks into her run as he goes past umpire again back, and he hooks well. In fact, she didn't cue it well. Campbell was looking to get around, but unable to do so. They went through for 1. I think he got more of a top edge, and I think she was deceived by the pace as well.
Yes, I think.
Delivery.
Yes, I think so. She was deceived. It rushed onto her quicker than she expected, and fortunate for her, she just got it away from the wicketkeeper. Otherwise, she could have easily been walking her way back to the pavilion. Fortunate for her.
So Mooney on to 10 as Litchfield comes into strike, and she's playing that up to mid-off. Short extra cover, skips across and fields. Over number 2 for Dottin comes to an end. At the end of over number 3, it's 23 for 1, and Australia just over 7 runs and over so far starting.
Yes, and it's important inside the power play to get as much runs as possible, because once the 6 overs are over, outside of the power play, you can then have fielders spread far and wide. But with the power play, you only allow 2 outside. So basically, teams tend to maximize the situation with the field placings.
So it's going to be Henry to continue.
Even Stevens so far.
So Chanel Henry, she will be bowling to Mooney, who is on strike. Mooney on 10. Goes past the umpire and bowls, and Mooney is defensively forward, pushing it up to extra cover. And there is no run. Ramnarap comes across and picks up. So Henry, rather businesslike, getting back to the top of his mark, as we note that the crowd is growing. The PH Vera, the Mike Finley Pavilion. Good crowd so far. As Henry's in and is down the track, taking on the body. Once a single, it's not there. There was Henry on her follow through.
Maybe because we are accustomed to see big crowds here at Allen'sville, it's a little disappointed to see what is present here tonight, to be honest.
Well, definitely, and I think with the second game on Saturday and more advertisement and news getting around, we certainly anticipate more persons coming into the Arnesville Sporting Complex. Chanel Henry, number 48, goes past umpire Jackman Williams. And short, and he's hooking at that top edge. Finally comes round and picks up. They get a single. The total goes on to 24. It's 24 for one. We are in over number 4.
And with the commentary being done on the National Broadcasting Corporation, NBC Radio, the news will spread. You know, these technology in your hands these days. It will say, listen, check NBC Radio. Cricket is being broadcasted. And it should bring more persons in here at Arnesville. And remember, the admission is free.
And it's coming to you compliments the National Lotteries Authority and the Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So here is Chanel Henry. As she goes past umpire now, bowls. Mooney is defending out to extra cover and they scamper through for a single. Good running. Good anticipation by the non-striker and really good support, good communication, and they're through for a 1. The total goes on to 25.
That's game awareness because they recognize they dropped it, no power, dropped it, and ran immediately. And at the end of the day, it was a comfortable single. These are the lessons that the young girls are wrong. Even the male should take note of.
All right. Chanel Henry goes past umpire now. Bowls to Litchfield, who is looking to work that. Gets an inside edge, it goes out to square leg. Campbell scamps around and picks up, keeps it down to a single. The total goes on to 26. It's 26 for 1. And bowls to Litchfield, who hooks that out to square leg. 33 for 1.
Yes, as I said, if they can probably keep them down to about 40 in the 6 overs, I think they would have done well. And so far, so good as far as West Indies are concerned. If they have the game awareness, they look at the scoreboard there, they will see exactly where they are, and they should be able to move on from there. But certainly, a good over, a good containing over, I should say, from Haley Matthews. Just 5 from it as the battle continues here at the Annisvale playing field in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Welcome, welcome, welcome to all who's taking this broadcast.
So it's a double change for West Indies. So picking it up on this southern end would be Jazara Claxton, number 19 on the back of her shirt, a medium pacer. And it's going to be Mooney on strike. She's on 15.
But Charlo, I honestly would have loved to have seen Ali Ali now. She's the quickest of the lot. She's a Barbadian. She really sprinted and give it her all. I was a little surprised.
Saw her earlier, and when we were in the West Indies tournament, so they've very good prospect. Here is Claxton. Round the wicket to bowl to Mooney, short, and he's playing that out to extra cover. Stephen Taylor is there, picks up. There is no run. Play that rather crisply. Stanley, good sound off the bat.
Yes, a good length and good sound off the bat, but fortunate for West Indies, it went straight to Stephanie Taylor, and there is no run.
So Claxton with a short third man, backward point. Square cover, extra cover, mid-off, all inside the 30-yard circle. She goes in a right arm over and bowls to Mooney, who's pulling through mid-wicket. There's a sweep on the deep mid-wicket and picks up, and he fires it in, keeps it down to a single. The total goes on to 34. She goes on to 16. Litchfield, who is on 6, comes in to strike. And Stanley, whenever it's back of a length, the Australians seem to have enough time to get into position and pepper that mid-wicket area.
They have already assessed the bounce of the pitch, the pace of the pitch. So the moment the ball is just there, back of a length, they tend to go on the back foot and use their upper body strength and get the ball away to mid-wicket.
So here is Claxton to bowl to Litchfield in short. She's looking to slap that. It should be out. Taken there by number 21, Janelle Glasgow. And the crowd erupts. Home girl taking the catch. Litchfield goes, caught Janelle Glasgow, bowled Claxton for 6, and it's 34 for 2.
Yes, another situation where ball back of a length and it rushed onto her, so by the time she rushed through with the shot, it took the bottom portion of the bat, looped into the air to mid off, and it was easily taken by Janelle Glasgow. Those
Very comfortably. And
And Warner Park being a small ground, you expect high scores.
So there is a change in bowling at the northern end.
At Ramarak.
So here he is, and in and bowls, and Mooney.
Very fortunate. As far as West Indies is concerned, these are little things that sometimes do matter when you are playing.
Fletcher once more into Perry. Perry goes back. Looking to guide that out to backward point, but Claxton, who has been pulled in off the boundary for the right-hander, picks up, and there is no run. So Fletcher, so far, keeping things rather tight. And she looks around. Some adjustments to the field. So there's a short fine leg. They've been pushed in, and a short square leg. Fletcher in and bowls. Goes back and bangs it to Claxton at backward point. There is no run. So another tidy over. 5 runs coming in that over, Stanley. And so at the end of over number 7, it's 39 for 2.
Yes, as 39 for 2 after 7 overs. An over that could have easily gone for much more. But the Aussies, the batters, are playing those shots straight to the fielder. They're not really picking the gaps per se. Maybe they're waiting to see probably what happens in terms of what sort of turn Afi Fletcher would get. But certainly, as far as West Indies is concerned, 5 in the over, good going.
So, Captain Haley Matthews ringing the changes. And it's Claxton who picked up a wicket in her first over. She has been pulled out of the attack. And we see Karisma Ramnarak coming into the attack. So it's going to be a spin again.
Well, we'll just wait to see what sort of turn she may be able to extract from this pitch. But certainly it wasn't the best of over Afi Fletcher, but she got away with it, which is important as far as West Indies is concerned.
So Ramnarak wrung the wicket, right arm, and she'll be bowling to Mooney, who is on 18 in. And Mooney goes back, guides it out to extra cover. Stephanie Taylor is there. There is no run. So there is a third man, backward point, sweep on the boundary, extra cover, long off. And you can spread your field now, Stanley.
Yes.
Ramnarak is in. She's down the track and driving. Janelia Glasso comes off the long off boundary, keeps it down to a single. The total goes on to 40. 40 for 2. So with the left-hand, right-hand combination, the right-handed Elise Perry comes in to strike. And Ramnarak now decides to go over the wicket. So there's a change in the field. Let's see what they will settle for. On the onside, there's a short, fine leg. There's a deep backward square, deep mid-wicket. Short mid-wicket and a long on. As Ramnarak pulls out of her and dabbles her hand in the dirt, trying to keep those fingers dry. There's a long off. There's a backward point. Cover, extra cover. Ramnarak is in. And this is driving. Lovely shot to the right of extra cover and the left of the long off. And they back for a second. And the total goes on to 42.
Yes, a very good shot there. Flighty delivery from Ramharak. She used her feet and drove it sweetly all along the gong for a double.
So the crowd growing gradually, and one would anticipate that it would build up. It's Ramnarak once more in. This time he's bowling, and Perry is using her feet, drives it down to long on. And Glasgow picks up and tosses it in, keeps it down to a single. Total goes on to 43. We are in over number 8. 43 for 2. And at this present moment, the run rate is 5.61. And Ramnarak round the wicket to the left-handed Mooney. In and bowls. Mooney's driving again. Glasgow has some work to do this time for the left-hander. She's at long off. And the total goes on to 44. 44 for 2. Again, another tidy over. Just about 5 runs so far off the first 5 deliveries. So Ramnarak to Perry. Perry's driving. Lovely shot. But long off again has work. Chanel Henry. And the return comes in. They were looking for a second and had to go back to their respective crease. The over comes to an end. At the end of over number 8, it's 45 for 2. And West Indies continue to keep things tight.
Yes, they're definitely keeping things tight, and the Australians looking to rebuild after the loss of those 2 wickets. You're seeing both Perry and Mooney trying to up it, but they're just getting singles. But at least they're getting a good look at the pitch, what it is doing, and I personally believe they are looking to rebuild. Remember the last time an Australian team played? It's the first time an Australian women is playing here in St. Vincent at Arnesville.
So here comes Afi Fletcher to bowl to Perry. In and bowls. Perry's down the track, drives over the top. The sweeper picks up on the bounce. And now he fires it in, keeps it down to a single. The total goes on to 46, but deliberately played over the extra cover.
It was deliberate.
And Mooney, who is on 20, comes back into strike. Perry with that single goes on to 8. It's 46 for 2. Fletcher in short, and he's looking to work that, taking on the pad, and there is no run. Kiana Joseph, the number 73, picks up at that short fine leg, keeps it down to a single. She's not the fastest of movers, but was able to deny Mooney a single. Here's Fletcher once more in. Mooney is looking to sweep that, taking on the pad. There's a loud shout for LBW. Umpire again Bag has no interest in it.
I believe it was pitched outside the leg from our position here. So it was an optimistic appeal, but from our position, I think the umpire made the right decision.
Right, so it's 46 for 2. Fletcher once more bowls to Mooney. Short. Mooney is down the track. Hits that just over the head of the jumping mid-off, and the long on comes around, tidies up. They come back for the second, and that was agonizingly close, Stanley, as the
very
total goes
much
on
so,
to 48
very
for
much
2.
so. It may be taking somebody another 2 feet to be able to catch it just over her hands. Identify the player.
We're trying to pick the number of
number.
the shirt, but we are unable to do that at the moment.
Very close.
Look, it's like, is it Chanel Glasgow? As here he's in and bowls, he's driving out to extra cover. Sweeper comes off the boundary and keeps it down to a single. The total goes to 49. 49 for 2. And Afi Fletcher makes her way back. So Fletcher now to the right-handed Perry. She pulls out of her run. Dead ball signaled by the umpire. Total remains 49 for 2. We are in over number 9. Fletcher once more in. This time he's looking to work that on the onside. Loud shout for LBW. And perhaps an inside edge into the pad. But over number 9 comes to an end. A tidy over there by Afi Fletcher. Stanley just 4 runs off that over. And at the end of over number 9, it's 49 for 2.
They are both spinners, Ramharak and Fletcher, keeping things very, very tight. Just allowing the Australians to get 1, maybe a double. And certainly West Indies, there's no two ways about it, at the top of the game at the moment. But you know, Annisvale being what it is. The last time an Australian team played, it was the men who played against Afghanistan on the 22nd of June 2024, where Afghanistan defeated them. Afghanistan won 48 for 6, Australia won 27.
So Stephanie, Hayley Matthews ringing the changes. She has now picked up the attack from the southern end, and she will be bowling to Mooney. Matthews in and bowls. Mooney's down the track, driving over the top. Lovely shot. I think she picks the gap. She picked the gap well, and a long boundary. We have not seen a boundary in a very, very long time.
Very long time, and it's a welcome boundary here as far as the Australians are concerned, and certainly.
And if my memory serves me right, it's the second boundary. So 50 coming in the 10th over. It's 53 for 2 in, and she's looking to sweep that. White signal by umpire Williams. The total goes on to 54 for 2. So Hayley Matthews would want to tidy things up and lead from the front as the captain. And we are right here at Annisvale. Here is Matthews in and bowls down the track is Mooney, who works that down to long on. They will get a single. The total goes on to 55. It's 55 for 2. We are in over number 10. And you're getting the commentary live from the Annisvale Sports Complex. Compliments National Lotteries Authority and the Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Captain Hayley Matthews just checking her field placing. And now he goes past umpire Jacqueline Williams in and bowls. And she's working that out to mid-wicket is Perry. Stephanie Taylor is there. There is no run. And Matthews makes her way back. Skips away from us. That familiar jump. Now she delivers in and he goes back. Walks out to mid-wicket. And who comes off the boundary. And dot in and fires it in. Nice return. Another single. Total goes on to 56. So rotation of the strike here, Stanley, but the boundaries are few and far between.
Yes, and they're keeping things very, very tight.
So Taylor, she's in her second over as he skips into bowl to Mooney, and Mooney goes back and she's tapping that out to extra cover. I think she was deceived there by a much slower delivery.
And turn.
And in the end stretched a bit for it and it went out to extra cover and there was no run. So here is Matthews in and bowls. She goes back and works it down. Matthews diving, couldn't stop that, and Janelia Glasgow comes off the long off boundary. They'll get a single. At the end of over number 10, it's 57 for 2.
Yes, another fairly tidy over there as we're at the break here. Maybe you can go for a
So with the water break, so we go back with Australia 57 for 2 at the end of over number 10, and we take a word from our sponsor.
SVG, get ready. The National Lotteries Authority is now offering more chances to win with 3D and Playful now 3 times a day. 3 times a day. There's a morning draw at 11 a.m., afternoon draw time 3 p.m., and the night draw from 9 p.m. Get your tickets for 3D and Playful, now drawn 3 times daily, Monday to Saturday, all from the National Lotteries Authority, giving you more chances to win. Any terms and conditions apply.
Brick by brick, piece by piece, building with technology, helping wealth increase, starting small, building the future, doing more every day, doing more together. BOSVG, the bank we count on. BOSVG, our one bank together we're strong. Our nation's bank, standing long and proud. One bank, one voice, sing it loud. BOSVG, BOSVG. Hey, building our future. BOSVG, doing more together.
OSBG,
doing more together.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines. T20 cricket is back at the Arnesville Sports Complex. The West Indies women versus Australia women. Way outside. March 19th, 21st, and the 23rd at 6:30 p.m. sharp. Entry is free for everyone. Bring the entire family and let's rally with our Maroon Warriors. We outside at Arnesville. Don't miss it. Visit windiescricket.com for full fixtures.
So welcome back to the Arnesville Sporting Complex as at the end of the over number 10, Australia 57 for 2. And Stanley, I think the West Indies will be pretty happy with their first 10 overs.
Yes, I think this half of this game, certainly West Indies in horse racing terms, they are ahead in terms of the distance, but certainly they had the better of the first 10 overs. They bowled fairly well, good line, good length, good areas. And they picked up 2 wickets and put the Australians on the back foot. And it's really a question to see if they're going to slacken the discipline that they had done so far, or would they just allow the Australians to put on maybe another 70 in the 10 overs to come.
So there's going to be a change in bowling at the northern end. It's going to be Claxton who comes in to bowl to Mooney. Muna slams that true cover, and that's 4 runs. It was pitched up, and she has been there from the onset, and she smashed that over extra cover and down to the boundary for 4. So what a start for the 11th over.
As I just said a while ago, Charlo, the West Indies has to be careful because with just 10 overs, that's 60 balls to come. The Australians definitely will look to up the game and try to put on maybe another 70 thereabout in the 10.
So 61 for 2. Here is Claxton once more to bowl to Mooney. Mooney gives herself room. And good sensible bowling there by Claxton. Saw her going down the leg side. Pushed it a little wide off the off stump. Taking some pace off as well. And she was deceived and there is no run.
Which is very good thinking on the part there of Claxton. Saw her moving a bit too early. And she was able to direct it away from her. And it went through to the keeper. And there's no addition to the total. 61 for 2.
So Claxton once more, right arm, round the wicket to bowl to Mooney. Inch, Mooney's hooking that out to the backward square. This would go across the ropes. That's 4 more. Short and punished. And Mooney now looking to up the tempo, so to speak. And the total goes on to 65.
That's precisely what I just said a while ago. They'll be certainly looking to up the tempo here, realizing that the first half of this game definitely to the West Indies.
Went to West Indies.
Yes, there's no two ways about it. So the question now, are they going to try to keep that line and length going and try to restrict them to a manageable total? But they have to be very careful.
So Mooney goes on to 37. With her is Elise Perry on 9. Here is Claxton once more in, bowls to Mooney. And Mooney tucks that out to mid-wicket. They're hustling for 1. She wants a second. Perry, she says no. Perry has to go back. And I think good sensible decision there on the part of the Australian. The total now on to 66 for 2.
Yes, they judged that second run wasn't on. And they decided to stay their ground. Good thinking, as I said, the game awareness is what has impressed me so far with the Australian batters. They certainly knowing when to go for 2 and when to take the single. Play soft, right on the square and take a comfortable single. But they'll definitely be looking for boundaries in these 10 overs.
So here is Claxton to the right-handed Perry looking to the scoop and misses. And there is no run. And you can see the wicket keeper in Campbell applauding.
Do you approve of this scoop thing when you're batting good?
Well, if you're batting good, you play not normal cricket shots. But
I have seen so many players attempting the scoop and getting out. When they are in, an instance is Harry Brook in England.
So here comes Claxton once more in and bowls. She's down the track, drives out to mid-off. The return comes in, but they'll get a single in the end. So a single, so Perry now goes into double figures. She's on 10. And another, some 10 runs coming in that over of Claxton. And it's with Bet Mooney, she's on 38. It's at the end of over number 11, 67 for 2 at a run rate of 6.09.
Yes, that is a result of the 2 boundaries, but I rather suspect that they'll be looking for more boundaries in the 9 overs remaining than what happened in the first. And so especially with Mooney, who is in a set batter, she definitely be looking to try and get boundaries supported by Elise Perry.
So Ramnarak comes back into the attack. Matthews really ringing the changes. And Ramnarak right arm off spin. And from the southern end, goes past umpire Jacqueline Williams, in and bowls. And he's banging that back past the ball on the onside of the pitch. And Glasgow skips around and keeps it down to a single. She has done a lot of work so far in this innings in the outfield, Stanley.
Yeah, she is in one of the vital areas in T20, which is long on and long off. Those are 2 vital areas.
So
and the mid-wicket.
So with that single, Perry goes on to 11. Mono, he's on 38, comes back into strike. Ramnarak in and bowls. This time she's looking to swing that down the leg side. Wide signal by the umpire. The total goes on to 69. And one would have to be very disciplined and watch those wides. And
that's about the 5th or 6th wide, That is too much.
So here is Ramnarak in and bowls once more. He's just looking to hit that in the air. Who is getting there? This would land safely in no man's land. And they will scamper back for 2. And it really took a long time in the air. Stanley dropping way in the midfield.
In between two fielders. But what happened there is that ball turned a little more than she expected. And she hit the outer portion of the bat. Fortunate for her, she has survived.
With that single, with that double, she goes on to 40. The total now on to 71. Ramnarak once more in and bowls. She's down the track driving, and Ramnarak unable to stop that one. It comes down to a long on position where Chanel Henry picks up, gets a single. Total now on to 72. 72 for 2, and this will be it's a useful partnership so far, Stanley.
That's right.
I think there's a 38-run partnership so far. Ramnarak in and bowls to Perry, who's driving straight back over the bowler's head. 1 bounce into the fence for 4. Pick the gap well and beautifully played. The total now on to 76. And Perry now joining her captain in putting the pressure back on West Indies.
Yes, and as I said before, they certainly will be looking for boundaries in these remaining overs.
So 76 for 2. We're in over number 12. And Ramnarak once more in and bowls. And she's lifting that another. This time he clears the fence for 6. Tossed up once again. Perry says thank you. Lifted straight back over the bowler's head. The first 6 of the innings. And the total at the end of...
Just at the end of the over.
No, I think there's a delivery remaining.
1 remaining.
The total goes on to 82. 82 for 2. Yes, 11.5 overs. And Ramnarak would have to be very careful. So Perry, looks like she means business. Is in and bowl short. She's pulling out to mid-wicket. And looks like Dottin skips around, feels. And they're not going to trust her arm. They settle for a single very, very early indeed. So at the end of over number 12, it's 83 for 2. And a pretty good over for Australia.
Yes, a very good over for Australia. As I, realize what is happening. They are going to up the game. There's no 2 ways about it. And since the break, after the 10 overs, they have scored 25 runs.
26.
26 runs in 2 overs.
Right.
So I expect them to really continue to do what they have done in the 2 overs, because the overs are going, they are set, so to speak, and West Indies do need a breakthrough
at this particular
point in time. So, bearing in mind the batters are on the charge.
So here is Afi Fletcher to bowl to Perry. In and bowls. Perry's driving to extra cover, and there is no run. Straight to the captain Stephanie. It's Captain Haley Matthews. Was hit very firmly indeed. And Fletcher Once more balls to Perry. And Perry's working that out to long on, who covers grounds very quickly. Fields keeps it down to a single, and I think that's the 50-run partnership.
Yes, it is.
Between Elise Perry and Beth Mooney. So the total now on to 84. We're in over number 13.
Second wicket fell at 34.
Yes, and Fletcher would now bowl to Mooney, who is on 41. Fletcher in. Mooney is looking to drive that, not timing it. Got an inside edge into the pad. Bubbled in front of her. There is no run. The total remains 84 for 2. Lovely conditions for cricket. The crowd is growing. And Fletcher just adjusting mid-wicket fielder and Captain Matthews. Fletcher once more in and is into the leg stump of Mooney, who works it on the onside. They want a second. This could be dangerous as the return comes in, and there's Perry was diving for all her worth. I think a stronger throw, Stanley, if she could have been a goner.
Yeah, the Andrew Dutton throw return would have certainly got her, but the throw did not come in as well as she would have wanted to, and she eventually got home. But that would have been a crucial wicket for West Indies.
So it's Perry, who is on 23, comes back in to strike in. Fletcher, she's lifting that high over extra cover, and there is Dutton coming around, picks up, fires it in, and they're back for a second. So you can see that the purpose, and in Australia there's a lot of energy now being displayed, and Perry goes on to 25.
They've definitely upped the tempo.
So total on to 87. She's on 25. The non-striker is Beth Mooney, who's on 42. Fletcher in and bowls. Shorty guides it out to Kiana Joseph at that short third man. The over comes to an end. And at the end of over number 13, it's 87 for 2. And Stanley, just 4 runs coming in that over.
Yes, this is the type of over that Haley Match will be hoping our bowlers will go for 4-5. You know, so it's a question of maintaining the pressure on the Australians, because they look to get as a bigger total as possible, because they definitely have shown signs of upping the tempo, and they have gotten 30 runs so far in 3 overs at 10 and over. And I don't think Haley Matthews and the West Indies will be hoping that they'll keep them at this 4-5 and over rather than at 10, because at going at 10 they would definitely end up at about 150, which is something I believe they do not want.
Well, certainly you do not want to be chasing 150. I think 125, 130 could be very comfortable. So Claxton comes back at the southern end. She has 2 overs, 1 for 11. She'll bowl round the wicket to the left-handed Beth Mooney. In and bowls. Mooney's pulling that out from the wicket. Who fields on the boundary. And here she'll get a single. The total goes on to 88, and with that single, Mooney goes on to 43, and Perry, who is on 25, comes into strike.
They're looking, I think the Australian batters are looking to target certain bowlers.
Well,
if you look at the approach,
I think that's the way you have to go. You have to pick which bowler you're going to target. Claxton in bowls to Perry, who is down the track, looking to hit that just over the head of the mid-off fielder, who's a little bit in, and she goes across the ropes now and into the fence for 4, but it really trickled into the boundary. Unfortunately, Captain Matthews was a little bit in.
Yes, she was.
Rather than being back on the boundary.
Yes, another 5 meters closer to the boundary, she probably would have gotten a catch. But she was in sort of close, maybe looking to stop the single. You can't stop the single until you stop the 4. You have to make up your mind. So either going to stop the single or stop the 4.
So it's 92 for 2 as Claxton once more into Perry, who's swinging that out to deep square leg. And Stephanie Taylor fires it in, keeps it down to a single. The total goes on to 93. Perry with that single, she goes on to 30. Of some 26 deliveries, and Captain Beth Mooney comes back into opener, but Mooney comes back into strike. She's on 43 off 38.
Yes, as I said before, Perry is one of these aggressive type middle order batters for the Australian team, and so far so good because she's really looking for the boundaries.
So, Claxton comes into bowl to Mooney. And Mooney is lifting that out to mid-wicket. That would clear the fence. It does. That's 6. Was in the slot and she lifted it over wide long on and clearing the boundary for 6. The total goes on to 99.
99.
And certainly we have seen a transition from the very first 10 overs. 99 for 2.
But as I said before, Charlie, you heard me say that they have to be careful with this Australian lineup because more than likely they'll be looking for 70 in the last 10. And if they had to continue the way they are, if they do not get a wicket, they might face that same 150 total, if they are not careful.
Well, certainly there's a lot of depth in the Australian batting lineup. Claxton runs away from us, in and bowls. Mooney goes going to the leg side and slow delivery, and she had to wait on it and drove it out to extra cover. Captain Hayley Matthews is there, and there is no run. So the West Indies in dire need now of a wicket.
Definitely need a breakthrough.
49 to Mooney. She's 49 of 40 deliveries, looking for a 50, a half century. As Claxton in, and she bowls and she just pushed a little wide outside the off stump and signaled by Williams. So the 100 comes up. It's 100 for 2, and we're in over number 14.
Yes, as I said, 6 overs remaining. Look at the rate they're going. I believe the 150 is on.
It certainly. And so some 13 runs already off this over.
And that will pose a problem for the West Indies team, I'll be honest with you, knowing the history of this ground.
So here is Claxton once more. In and bowls, and Mooney's looking to run that down to third man. That went past the outside edge and into the keeper's glove, and the over comes to an end. So at the end of over number 14, it's 100 for 2, Stanley, and Australia with 6 overs remaining certainly would be eyeing 150.
Yes, there's not two ways about it, except DeAndre Dottin can come in and keep things relatively quiet. But as I said, they are targeting certain bowlers. If you look at the bowling figures, some as against others, they're definitely targeting some of the bowlers here. But the 150 seems to be on, except 2 quick wickets for the West Indies that can retard the progress of the Australian.
So Fletcher will continue. This will be her final over. She has so far bowled 3 overs, none for 13. So she would be satisfied with her work. Here she is, in and bowls. Perry's down the track, lifts that out to long on, who's running for all of what feels on the boundary. Had to cover some ground to her left. And kept it down to a single. Again, it's Janelia Glasgow. She has a lot of work to do.
Well, she's in one of the crucial positions, long on, long off, on either side of the field.
So 101 for 2. The left-handed Mooney comes in to strike. She's on 49. As here is Affie Fletcher. In and bowls. She gives herself room and swings out to mid-wicket, looking to bisect the fielder. And picks up the boundary. DeAndre Dottin looking to pull that backward in. And it bubbles across the ropes and into the fence. So a half century to Mooney, 53 coming in 42 balls. So, and she has been there from the outset. Sure, she'll be looking to stay there until the end.
Yes, a pretty good captain's knock, I should say, from Mooney. Steadied the ship when things were very slow at the start, and certainly she has opened up along with Perry, and a very good half century here by Mooney. Got the pace of the pitch right, target certain bowlers, and congratulations to her for well-worked half century.
So 105 for 2, and it's Fletcher who will bowl to Mooney. So Mooney on 53. Non-striker is Perry, who is on 31. Fletcher in once more. Mooney is swinging that out to square leg, who comes off the boundary and fires it in, keeps it down to a single. It's a Claxton. And total now on to 107. 107 for 2. So the run rate is, I've never gone above 8. Stanley, so West Indies would still want to keep things tight. Fletcher into Perry, who's good. Finally got the scoop going. Taylor has a long run. She might pull it back just inside the boundary. She does. They're coming back. This could be dangerous. And oh my word. And there is Mooney. She was looking for a third. And had to scamper back. An Indian diving to get in. And the total remains at 109 for 2.
Yeah, but Mooney was ball watching. Because Perry definitely
was ball watching.
Yes, and they were looking for the third one, but they were ball watching. And had the keeper taken the return properly, should have been run out. She's been so far down.
Well, Fletcher into Perry, and Perry's driving out to long off. Glasgow is there, picks up, and they'll get a single. So the total now 110 for 2, 34 to Perry, and Mooney, who is on 54, comes back into strike.
West Indies do need a breakthrough.
Certainly. And Fletcher is in. This time he swings out to square leg. And this would beat the fielder on the square leg boundary in Claxton. And it goes across the ropes for 4. The total now on to 114. So pressure now being put on Afi Fletcher, who had been very, very tidy up to the end of her third over.
Very economical, but she's gone for quite a bit in this over. And because the Australian tempo has risen.
Yeah, so some 14 runs already of this over. And here comes Afi Fletcher. Into bold to Mooney. And Mooney is tugging that out to long on. Janelia Glasgow again. The live wire in the field. Picks up. It's a single. The total 115 for 2. So at the end of over, there are some 15 runs coming in that over, Stanley. And the end of over number 15, it's 115 for 2.
And they're just under 8 and over, which is probably for the first time in this game, as the Australians have turned the screws on. The Australians have turned the screws on, and West Indies seemingly on the down when they should really doing their best in terms of effecting a wicket or two, because a wicket or two will certainly pull things back for the West Indies, but they do badly need a wicket, because these two are settled and they're seeing the ball, local language here, is as big as a breadfruit, and they're really batting well indeed here. And Vincentian crowd, who is seated at Mike Finley and the other two stands, the numbers has grown. Not any really big crowd, but the numbers has grown.
Yes, so here is still Matthews in, and she's tugging that out to long on. Henry covering rungs. They come back for the second, and they'll get that comfortably. And the total now on to 117. 117 for 2 with that double. It's Mooney. She moves on to 61. And she's really carrying the Australian batting on her shoulders.
Yes. Batting well.
And getting very good support from Elise Perry, who is on 34. So Matthews just looking around, just adjusting her field a bit as she skips in and bowls to Mooney. Mooney's down the track, lifts that over the head and clearing the boundary for 6. So the charge is on, and the total now on to 123. And Stanley, they may well go past 150.
When the rate they are going, I was looking at 150, but the way things are going, it could very well end up maybe out of the West Indies reach at 170, the way they're going.
So it was good use of the feet by Mooney, and lifted it over long off for 6. Taylor once more in short, and she's pulling it out to mid-wicket, bisecting the deep mid-wicket. No diving effort there on the part of Stephanie Taylor, and keeping it down, saving the team 2 runs. The total now on to 125.
Wow.
125 for 2.
The Australians have definitely changed gears.
So Mooney, she's on 69. And she's now looking to get into overdrive.
They are definitely into overdrive.
Matthews just doing some adjustments to the field. So she has taken out the short fine leg and pushed it into a short third man. So there's a square leg.
Interesting field. You have
Yes.
two fields close to each other.
Yeah, two square legs. Taylor. And they're swinging that out on the bounce to Taylor on the fence. And gets a single. So she goes on to 70. The total now on to 126 for 2. And Perry, the right-hander, comes into strike. She's on 34. Matthews wrong the wicket to bowl to Perry in. Perry goes back, works it out to square leg. Long run for Claxton. She comes around. They go for one. They'll come back for the second. And they will get that comfortably. And the total now on to 128. 128 for 2. And 36 now to Perry. She waits on Matthews. Matthews in and bowls. Again, he's looking to swing that and taking on the body. Not sure that came off the back, but the crowd was going up. And the over comes to an end at the end of over number 16 with 4 overs to go. Australia 128 for 2. And Stanley just 6 runs short of 100 partnership.
Yes, and they definitely have motored away after the 10th over, having lost the second wicket at 34 in the 6th over. They've been together thus far, a partnership now of 94, and the last 6 overs has yielded 71 runs.
6 over 71.
71, yeah. That's a lot. That's going almost 12 and over.
Yes.
And they really step on the gas. And the West Indies are paying the price. And not from any bad bowling per se, but it's just some brilliant batting by the Australian pair in Perry and Mooney.
So it looks like Dottin will come back into the attack. And we are bringing to you live from NBC Radio, the Supreme Sporting Sound that complements the National Lotteries Authority and the Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So Dottin comes back into the attack.
She has 2.
Yes.
She has 2.
Chanel Henry has 2.
But I have not seen Ali Aline.
Have not seen Janila Glasgow. And
I think one of the problems, when you have too many persons can call and to bowl, these things do happen.
so Dottin will bowl round the wicket to Mooney. Mooney is on 70 as Dottin is in and bowls. And she's working that, beats the fine leg, beating the keeper and beating the fine leg, down to the boundary for 4. Not the sort of start you want for the first ball of the 17th over. And a boundary to Mooney. She goes on to 74. The total now on to 132.
And she tickled that one very fine indeed. The wicketkeeper had no chance. The hidden Kiana Joseph had no chance either. And another boundary, but certainly the tempo is on.
So Mooney looking to take the attack to the bowlers, and she has looked good. And really have done a tremendous job here for Australia. And so there's some shifting of the field. Again, we can see Kiana Joseph. She's been moved from that short fine leg into a short third man. And the more fleet-footed Affy Fletcher comes into fine leg on the boundary. So there is a short third man, backward point, square cover, extra cover, mid-off. There is a long on and acres of space at mid-wicket, deep backward square, and a deep fine leg. And there was into the leg stump there of Mooney, and Mooney worked it out to the deep backward square. Stephanie Taylor fires it in, keeps it down to a single. The total now on to 133.
99-run partnership, and have put the pressure right back on the West Indies. At the end of 10 overs, they were 57 for 2. And they have certainly upped the game, as I was probably looking at 70 in the last 10, but they have gone past that.
By far. And so, Dottin would now bowl to the right-handed Perry, as we see the change in field for the right-hander. So there's a third man who would be inside the circle, backward point sweeper on the boundary. There's a square cover on the boundary, extra cover mid-off inside the circle. As here comes Dottin to Perry. In. Perry's lifting that high and hard. Long on has some interest in it. Will she take the catch? She does. And Perry goes. Much needed wicket for the West Indies. It looks like Chanel Henry coming off the boundary and taking the catch. So Perry goes. Caught Henry. Bowled Dottin for 36. And Australia losing the third wicket at 133 for 3.
A 99-run partnership.
99-run partnership.
This has definitely swung the game towards Australia, depending how many more they will get from the remaining overs. But certainly a very good knock there by Perry, supported skipper Mooney, and has tilted the balance back to Australia.
Well, it was a good supportive innings by Elise Perry. Came out with a score 34 for 2 in over number 6 and really helped Mooney steady the ship and taking it to a pretty formidable total thus far. 133 for 3. And
Dottin's second wicket.
Dottin, yes, picking up her second wicket. So, Gardner comes out. Ashley Gardner. Dottin is in. And that is wider outside the off stump and so signaled by the umpire. And the total now on to 134. 134 for 3. Gardner sporting number 63 on the back of her shirt. And some adjustments again being made to the field. So the deep backward point comes into an orthodox point position. Short third man comes back on the boundary. Dottin again wide outside the off stump. Another wide. And that's not good. Just picked up a wicket. They should be attacking the new batter.
Definitely should be in placing those deliveries on the stumps and make her play rather than bowl these wide balls. So for the short space of time should be there. Should be able to pick up the lights, the bunks.
So here is Dottin once more now. Bowls to Gardner. Gardner is driving out to extra cover. They go through for 1. They'll get it comfortably. The total now on to 136. 136 for 3. And Mooney, who has been there from the beginning, comes back into strike. She's on 75 from 51 deliveries. And Gardner, who is on 1 from 1 delivery. So left-handed Mooney looks around the field. Dottin goes back around the wicket to the left-hander. Let's see what he will do. In and she goes down the leg side, diving stop there by keeper Chanel Henry Campbell. And there was Dottin looking to keep it close to Mooney, but losing the radar and going wide outside the leg stump. So 137 for 3. And she comes in once more. In and bowls. Mooney goes down the leg side and she's driving out to mid-off. And there was Dottin keeping it very close to her, not giving her the freedom to free her arms. But she got a single. She goes on to 76. The total on to 138 for 3.
Yes, as they continue to pile on the runs. What we have so far is over 9 in the over thus far, and it's been a pretty good over.
Some 10 runs in the over.
10 in the over, but it's been a pretty good over.
Yes. So again, that's another wide, and they will scamper extra run. So 2 wides there, and this is bad bowling.
She just lost her radar. Maybe she knows Gardner and Mooney. She doesn't want to get too close to them.
Stanley,
but you have to
because she
bowl
has
at the stance
in the Big Bash League. So she has been around for some time and would be very familiar with these players, and just not just don't want to come too close.
But you hardly find any bowler who have just taken a wicket to be bowling so many wides at the new batter.
All right, so the total 140 for 3 as she comes in now to bowl to Mooney. Mooney again, she's keeping it close, and Mooney is tugging that out to deep mid-wicket, and she'll get a single. And over number 17 comes to an end. It's 141. Some 13 runs coming in that over, and she picked up a wicket.
Yeah, but despite to me it's a good over barring the wides, but it's still 13 off the over, all because of the Andrew Dutton seeming to have lost it where the really is concerned, rather than bowl straight at the stump to the new batter. And she delivered out 4 wides in that over, giving him 4 extra runs. So at the end of the day, Australia will be quite comfortable to have gotten 13 in that over, despite losing a wicket, which was expected anyway.
So Chanel Henry comes back into the attack. And so Captain Haley Matthews have turned to her fast bowlers. And she'll be bowling to Mooney. Mooney is on 77. Gardner is on 1. So Henry goes past umpire and bowls, and she's tugging that out to a long on position. Glasgow has a long run. Fires it in, but they're back for the second. So 79 now to Mooney. The total on to 143 for 3. We're in over number 18. Present run rate 8.33 runs. Per over. Henry in, and he's lifting that. This could be taken. She does. So Dutton taking the catch. Again, Henry there deceiving Mooney with that slow delivery, and she was looking to drive it, lifted, lobbed it. Dutton judged it well at mid-off. Took the catch. Mooney makes her way back. A very good innings indeed, Stanley. And the wicket that the West Indies wanted.
Yes, a very, very crucial wicket. That had an outstanding knock. Started slowly, but she gradually upped the tempo, and eventually she got a very, very good, had a very good knock, a skipper's knock of 70, what she got?
76.
76, a very good knock indeed by this Australian skipper, and have positioned her team into a pretty good position, because 141 at the moment, plus whatever else they will get, is definitely position the Australians to be rather competitive based on what they will end up with. But certainly a good knock and a good wicket as far as West Indies is concerned, because it definitely could have done with that wicket and the important wicket of Mooney.
Yeah, she goes to 79. 79. And here is Henry in short, and he's looking to tug that out, and the square leg hook, Stephanie Taylor comes off the boundary, gets a single, so she's off the mark in Wareham, getting off the mark. So two relatively new batters I should say, at the crease.
This is just what the West Indies wanted, because the set batters are gone in Perry and Mooney. So it's a question of how they can contain the remainder of the batters by bowling relatively cheap overs and keep the scoreboard down to about, let's say,
160?
150, 160.
So here is Henry in and bowls. He's lifting that. This could be another catch. Dutton takes it, and Gardner goes. So the West Indies really clawing their way back, picking up some quick wickets and really stemming the flow of runs. And so Gardner goes, caught Dutton, bowl Henry for 1. The total now 144 for 5, and it's jubilation in the West Indies camp.
Definitely a much needed wicket, and more importantly a dot ball.
Yes, and dot.
More importantly, so West Indies are taking up some wickets here at the back end of this Australian innings, and certainly They were hoping, as I said, to minimize the number of runs they're likely to get between now and the end of the 20th over. But 160, if they reach there, will be a challenging total, Chalo.
Well, certainly. And McGrath comes out to do battle.
Talia McGrath.
As Henry, buoyed by the success in this over, in. And this time he's tucking it out on the onside. They hustle for one. That's all they will get. And total now on to 146 for 5. Here's some drumming taking place. McGrath, but it's Wareham who comes in to strike. Henry in and bowls, gets one right up in the block hole. He works it out to mid-wicket. They want a second. This could be dangerous. The return comes in and she dived her way back into her crease. So 1 to the total. So at the end of over number 18, it's 146 for 5 and a very good over by Chanel Henry.
Yes, only 5 from that over, just what
Picked
the
up
doctor
2 wickets.
ordered. Not just what the doctor ordered as far as the West Indies is concerned. They have picked up 2 wickets in the meantime. And certainly they have positioned themselves with 2 overs remaining. Maybe another 10, 12 in the over will send them up to about 158. So that 160 target is more likely to be on. They may get another wicket or 2. But I think the key here, as far as the West Indies is concerned, is these 12 remaining deliveries, is to keep the scoreboard down.
Well, I think it's going to be Dotted, who will bowl the 19th penultimate over. She has 3 overs, 2 for 25.
And she's bowled well, except those
Wides. So 146 for 5. So here is Dotted. In and bowls. And a wide signal by the umpire. Wareham looking to give herself some room. And Dotted looked to fire that one wide off the off stump.
Maybe we can check to see how many wides she has delivered, because it's been quite a bit.
So, Gianja Dotted. In and bowls, and she's slapping that. Haley Matthews diving, beats her to her left, and return comes in there, back for the second. The total goes on to 149. 149 for 5. So Wareham, she's on 4 with her McGrath, who is on 1. Dottin comes in once more. Bowls to Wareham. She's driving at that on another wide signal by the umpire, and Dottin is querying that. She has covered, she had moved across to the off stump, Stanley. Pushed it a little wide, but the umpire says you're outside the tram line.
Umpire's call is final.
And so Dotted not happy with that.
But she needs to be bowling at the stump.
So the 150 comes up in over number 19 of 18.1 overs in. And she's driving out to mid-off. They're going to for 1. And for once, Glasgow does not pick up. And a single comfortably taken in the end. So 151 for 5. And we are bringing it to you live on the Supreme Sporting Sound, the NBC Radio. Compliments the National Lotteries Authority supporting sports and culture, and the Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So Dottin comes in now to bowl to McGrath, and it's on the bounce back to Dottin. So precious Dot.
Maybe if she had left it, she may have gotten another wide. I think that's what happened.
Precious Dot goes into the scorebook.
From Dottin.
Yes, from Dottin. And she comes in once more to bowl to McGrath. In. She's wide and she's slapping that out to cover. The sweeper comes off the boundary. Keeps it down to a single. Total now on to 152. 152 for 5.
As the Australians continue to score, whether it's a single, a wide, a two, whatever, they are putting the pressure right on the West Indies in terms of the overall total.
So, and that's beat the keeper, edge down to the boundary. That's 4. And she continues to push them wide off the off stump, Stanley.
Yes, she continues, and they have read her. The Aussies batters have read her bowling these wide deliveries outside off stump.
And they're going after
and
it.
They're going after it because what she needs to do from the moment they shifted across, moved across, is bowl the ball straight at the stumps.
So 156 for 5. And look at where she's batting. In and bowls. And she's in and he swings out too long on. And Campbell takes it on the boundary. And another wicket goes 156 for 6.
Then the Australians are not too bad that they're looking for runs.
Well,
at this stage, you expect the batting team would certainly do anything in terms of getting whatever runs they can get from every delivery. So I don't think they'll be too disheartened about that because she's attempting to go for the maximum. She didn't. She fell. But that's the way the game is being played. So at the end of 19 overs, it's
56 for 6.
156 for
And
6.
Dottin picked up her third wicket.
Yes, our figures will end up. We'll get our figures in a while. 156.
3 for 35.
Dottin 3 for 35. And Henry, not Henry. Claxton. Claxton is what?
Claxton figures 1 for 24. Off 3. And so it's going to be Chanel Henry. The final over in this encounter. She goes into bowl and she's driving out to cover. And a single. And that was McGrath. Total now on to 157 for 6.
So the 160 is definitely on. Maybe even a little
yes.
more. Which will certainly pose a problem for the West Indies team, except the three individuals do get some sort of total.
So King comes into strike, and his speed now that was kept close to the body. He was looking to guide that. Beat on taken cleanly by Campbell, and there is no run. So the total remains 157 for 6. And Henry looked very purposeful in the final over. She turns without stopping, and she goes past umpire Williams now. In and bowls right up in the block hole. He's driving out to mid wicket. They want a second. And Claxton picks up, fires it in, keeps it down to a single. The total on to 158 for 6. So King, she's on 1. McGrath, who is on 3, comes into strike. Some 3 legal deliveries remaining in this innings. 158 for 6. Here is Chanel Henry to bowl to McGrath. McGrath down the track, swings and misses. Another dot goes into the scorebook. This is turning out to be a very good over on the part of Chanel Henry.
Late as it is in the proceedings, late as it is, because they have certainly scored well over 100 inside 10 overs, the last 10 overs.
And Henry with the penultimate over in this, the final over, short, and she's tugging that out to mid wicket. More, and they're coming back for the second. The return comes in, and she fumbles, and I think in the end King got in, and had she collected that cleanly, Stanley, she would have been gone.
Yeah, she would have been gone. Had Claxton collected it, but she dropped out, fell out of her hands, and he was able to get 2 comfortable runs. But this is expected at this stage of the game.
With
They
the
are
tension
over a ball or 2
yes.
to go. So they have reached the 160.
160 for 6 with the final delivery of this innings, and Australia 160 for 6 at a run rate of 8.07. Here is Henry with the final delivery, in and bowls, and she's driving over cover. This would go into the fence. It does. That's 4 runs, and the innings comes to an end. Australia 164 for 6 of their 20 overs, and really in the end, the first 10 overs Stanley 57 runs, the second 10 107 runs of the last 10 overs, and they lost some 4 wickets.
Yes, and certainly Australia have put on a very competitive total here at 164 for 7. The first half of their innings was dominated, I would say, by the West Indies, having gotten them to 57 for 2. But a very, very good a very good third wicket partnership of 99 between Beth Mooney's
and
wonderful
Elise
innings on 76 and Elise Perry 36, with some power hitting towards the back end of this game, moved them away from a serious situation, and they eventually ended up scoring 107 in the 10 overs, and that total will prove very, very competitive.
Right, so 164 for 7. Just run through the Australian batting. Vol caught Shamin Campbell, bowled DeAndre Dottin for 8. Beth Mooney caught DeAndre Dottin, bowled Chanel Henry 79. Phoebe Litchfield caught Janila Glasgow, bowled Jazara Claxton for 6. Elise Perry caught Chanel Henry, bowled DeAndre Dottin 36. Ashley Gardner caught DeAndre Dottin, bowled Chanel Henry 1. Wareham caught Chanel Henry, bowled DeAndre Dottin 9. McGrath not out 9. Alana King not out 1. And the wicket taker for the West Indies, DeAndre Dottin 4 overs, no maidens, 35 runs, 3 wickets. Chanel Henry 4 overs, no maiden, 28 runs, 2 wicket. Jazara Claxton 3 overs, no maiden, 24 runs, 1 wicket. They were the wicket taker for West Indies. The West Indies would have to make 165 for victory here in the first T20 of a 3-match series to be played right here at the Arnoldville Sports Complex. We'll take a break, and then we'll bring the second innings to you from Arnoldville.
SVG, get ready! The National Lotteries Authority is now offering more chances to win with 3D and Play 4 now 3 times a day. 3 times a day. There's a morning draw at 11 a.m., afternoon draw time 3 p.m., and the night draw from 9 p.m. Get your tickets for 3D and Play 4 now drawn 3 times daily, Monday to Saturday, all from the National Lotteries Authority, giving you more chances to win. Any terms and conditions apply.
Brick by brick, piece by piece, building with technology, helping wealth increase, starting small, building the future, doing more every day, doing more together. BOSVG, the bank we count on. BOSVG, our one bank together we're strong. Our nation's bank, standing long and proud. One bank, one voice, sing it loud. BOSVG, BOSVG. Hey, building our future. BOSVG, doing more together.
OSBG, doing more together. St. Vincent and the Grenadines. T20 cricket is back at the Arnoldville Sports Complex. The West Indies women versus Australia women. Way outside. March 19th, 21st, and the 23rd at 6:30 p.m. sharp. Entry is free for everyone. Bring the entire family and let's rally with our Maroon Warriors. We outside at Arnesville. Don't miss it. Visit windiescricket.com for full fixtures.
So welcome back to the Arnorsville Sporting Complex for the second innings of this, the first T20 between Australia and the West Indies. Australia in their 20 overs got 164 for 6. West Indies are now looking to get 165 for victory. And Kiana Joseph, the big left-hander, and she is accompanied by Captain Haley Matthews. As we see, all is well as he squares her up a bit there and guides it out to the backward point position. And there is no run, as we can see, number 3 in Schultz picking up the bowling attack, opening the bowling from the northern end there for Australia, Megan Schultz. So she turns without stopping, walks first. Now she breaks into her run. Comes in now, goes past the ump and bowls, and Joseph is swinging, slapping that out to the sweeper on the boundary. So she's away and running. So too is the West Indies total. They are 1 without loss. So 1 without loss. So left and right hand combination. Same what we saw, Stanley, with the Australian opening pair.
Yeah, same thing. It's a general thing basically around cricket today, especially in these T20s. Definitely you're seeing the right hand, left hand combination. And there's a new word that I learned, matchups.
Matchups. And so Captain Haley Matthews comes in to strike. She looks around the field. There is a short third man, backward point, square cover, extra cover mid-off. And she's forward defensively, plays it out to mid-on. And there is no run. Good sound off the bat. And there's a mid-on, short mid-wicket, a deep mid-wicket on the fence, and a deep backward square leg. So just 2 fielders allowed outside that 30-yard circle in the first 6 overs, Stanley.
Yes, only that, and it's a question of how Haley settles.
Shorts, and there's Matthews again working it out to mid-wicket. There is no run. So Schultz, so far, she's on the button. And the West Indies,
65 to get.
165. They are 1 without loss. And it's Schultz who rather business-like turns at the far end, the northern end, and he comes in now. In and bowls, and Matthews is working again, carbon copy of the previous 2 deliveries. So she has been hitting good areas so far, and the total remains on 1 without loss. Matthews still to get off the mark. So a lot will rest on her shoulders as the crowd has grown here at Arnorsville. Lovely conditions for cricket, cool conditions. Schultz is in, and Matthews again works it out to mid-wicket, and there is no run. So some 4 deliveries. Over comes to an end. At the end of over number 1, Stanley, it's 1 without loss.
Yeah, basically what we saw there from Schultz is just there about hitting that 6 meter mark, and Haley Matthews can do nothing more than to defend. And if you realize the 4 balls she faced all ended up between mid-wicket and mid-on. She was hitting it there about on that 3 centimeter mark, 4 meters mark. And certainly 1 over's gone. They are behind the 8 ball because they do need a solid opening stand if they are to position themselves towards for a chase in the back end of this inning.
So Kim Garth comes into the attack. She'll be picking it up from the southern end, the media center end, with Beckwith behind us, and she'll be bowling to Kiana Joseph. She goes in, right arm over the wicket, in, bowls to Joseph. Joseph is looking to work that on the onside. Matthews wants a single, it's not there, and she quickly retreats to her crease.
Matthews had to be very careful because Kiana is a very heavy lady,
and not the fastest of movers.
Singles are not going to come that easily. So there's, if she decides to go that route, it's playing a wrong number run out.
So God runs away from us, in and bowls, and again she's working it right into that fine leg position, and there is no run. So Guard recognizing the big left-hander, not allowing her to free her arms.
Reminds
Trying
me-
to keep her very close to her.
Close to her, it reminds me very much of an England opener moons ago by the name of Colin Milburn.
Correct.
Big.
So here is Guard. Joseph waits. And she's swinging that out to mid-wicket, who has a long run. This could go across the ropes. It does, and that's the way she plays. It's up into the slot. This time she allowed her to free her arms. And she whipped it over mid-wicket and dumped to the boundary for 4. She goes on to 5. The total on to 5 without loss.
Yes, and that is the area that Kiana Joseph scores her runs. Once that ball is just thereabouts, she tends to swing with the upper body, with the strength, and it went between mid-wicket and long on. But they will quick it up quickly as a good boundary, I should say, or the false boundary from Kiana Joseph.
Guard in bowls to Joseph, and Joseph is forward. I think she was sizing up to go with that, Stanley. It wasn't there. And
But-
she adjusted rather quickly.
The thing about it, she hasn't been in the runs, especially when they played Sri Lanka in Grenada, and she was dropped. And here she's hoping to redeem herself in this series of matches here. But certainly, very little foot movements.
Well, she has the perfect opportunity to redeem herself. So it's 5 without loss. As Guard in bowls, and she's defensively forward. Plays it out to extra cover. There is no run. Total remains on 5. So Australia, the Australian bowlers so far have been rather disciplined.
On
hitting
the
good
money.
areas
Definitely on the money.
consistently.
The one delivery that just went offline ended
Was punished.
was punished. So
So here is Guard. Runs away from us. Goes past Jacqueline Williams. In and bowls. And she's swinging out to mid-wicket. And diving effort. Couldn't rein it in. And they'll get a single. And good effort by the fielder on the boundary. And diving in the end. Got a hand to it. Couldn't keep it in. And that's Gardner. And the total goes on to 6. So at the end of over number 2, it's 6 without loss.
yes, a tremendous effort there, but unfortunately she did not rein it in. And Kiana Joseph fortunate to be there, but they have already spotted exactly where she's going to score runs. They realized there was an adjustment in the field whereby the straightest mid-wicket came a bit straighter.
Schutz is in the bowls, and she goes back and plays it out to mid-off, and there is no run. So it's back of her length, and Joseph standing up straight and playing it easily out to mid-off, and there is no run. The total remains 6 without loss. So at the end
Or
of
7.
6.
6.
At the end of over number 2, Australia won 19. So here is Schutz, short, and he swings out to square leg into the fence. It goes for 4. It was short and dispatched. And it raced across the outfield and into the fence. It goes for 4. The total now on to 10, and the crowd applauding.
Yes, the crowd wants to see. This is the typical West Indian way of getting the runs. Boundaries, we know the famous quotation, power hitters.
Well, here comes Schutz once more to bowl to Kiana Joseph. Joseph goes back and he plays it out to mid-off once again. And was back of a length and around middle and off. Stood up straight. So she's on 10. Matthews, the captain, yet to get off the mark. It's 10 without loss. And you can see Captain Molino next to her bowler, Schultz. Schutz, as we see this short fine leg now being pushed back to deep backward square, and mid-wicket has been, the deep backward square has been pulled to mid-wicket boundary, and the orthodox mid-wicket now comes to a short fine leg.
And the sweeper has been brought up into a conventional position.
And there it is, and there was Joseph. That one was right up. I think she was looking to work that on the onside, took the bottom of the bat and bubbled around the crease. and there is no run.
I think she's been set up in a shallow. If you look at the field placing previously to this last delivery, the sweep on the offside has been brought right into conventional cover, and the fielders, the deep square leg has gone out, and the mid wicket has gone out. So they're really setting her up.
So let's see what she'll do. In and bowls. And she's looking to tuck that on the onside. It misses, a wide signal by the umpire. The total goes on to 11.
This is where she needs to be smart with her game and try and tuck the ball out on the onside. There's a huge gap between the deep mid-wicket, deep square leg, and there is just a long on. So if she can just stab it out on the onside and get a single.
So acres of space is on the onside. Here we shoot. In and bowls. Joseph looking to work that on the onside, taking on the pad, half-hearted appeal by Shoot, and there is no run. So she's on 10. Matthews, she's on yet to get off the mark. And she has been away from the strike really, Stanley.
Yes, she has been away from the strike, but Kiana is, so far she's gotten 2 boundaries in the 2 overs that she has faced. So good luck.
Shoot. Comes in once more, in and bowls, and he's got that house pitched up outside the outside. She was looking to get some bat on it, and it went under the bat, and a good over by Schultz. At the end of over number 3, the West Indies 11 without loss.
Yes, pretty good over there by Schultz as she setting up Kiana Joseph from what I can see with the field placing from the time she struck that boundary. The field rearrangements were made, they readjusted it, and they bowled to the field that was there. And I think she's been set up, and she should be mindful as to what they are trying to do to get her out. So we'll see how this battle continues. The Australian opening bowlers and Kiana Joseph and Haley Matthews. 10 without loss. The Australians at that time were 23 without loss. 23 for 1.
So it's going to be God to continue. This time she's going to bowl to Haley Matthews. Matthews. She's pulled out, so not quite ready. God has to make her way back. She turns in front of us. Goes past the umpire now and bowls to Matthews. Matthews looking to work that on the onside. Wide signal by the umpire. The total goes on to 12. 12 without loss. And we're bringing to you live from the Arnes Wales Sports Complex. Compliments the National Lotteries Authority and the Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So, Joseph, the non-striker, leans on her bat. Captain Matthews waits and looking to work that on the onside, and they go through for 1, and the return comes in. They're through for 1. Let's wait. Elect by signal by umpire now. The total goes on to 13. 13 without loss. So it's a wide. So Joseph comes in to strike. She's on 10. Got with a mid-wicket on the fence, deep backward square leg on the fence. So 2 areas that are being protected. In and bowls, and she's driving at that outside the off stump, misses. Taken cleanly by Mooney behind the stumps. There is no runner, and we can see Haley Matthews just saying to her, people have gone over cover. Alright. So she's big. And when she hits it, it stays hit, Stanley.
That's right. That's correct.
Guard once more in. Bowls to Joseph. Joseph gets a short delivery that's well above the shoulder. Bouncer. And I'm rather surprised. She's looking at the umpire, really rather surprised that it wasn't signal a wide, because I think that went over her head.
It rushed past her.
But it was a quick delivery.
A very quick delivery, and it bounced prodigiously. And Mooney did well to climb high and brought it down. Interesting delivery.
Very much so. So God seemed to have a turn of speed, Stanley.
Yes, yes.
Goes in and bowls to Joseph. Joseph, I think that's a slow delivery. She was winding up for a big hit through mid-wicket, and he was deceived, but adjusted well and just worked it out to mid-wicket. She got a single. She goes on to 11. The total now on to 14 without loss. And Captain Haley Matthews, who's on 0, yet to get off the mark after 5 deliveries, comes into strike.
And she has been starved of the strike so far, you know.
God goes in and bowls. And there is Matthews looking to work that on the onside, but good running by Kiana Joseph. Saw the opportunity for a leg by and went through for it. The total goes on to 15. 15 without loss. We are in over number 4. So they're well behind the strike rate, Stanley. And the required run rate now is 9.2.
I was about to say it's climbing.
And the West Indies, they are going at 3.91.
Definitely climbing.
So
not to say to rush it per se to give away the wicket, but they should be looking. But the problem you have with it is looking for singles, and Kiana Joseph with her problems.
So they're just pulling the deep backward square off the fence and pushing the mid on to long on.
Long on.
Yes.
Expecting her to swing.
So here is God in and bowls. Joseph stands up straight and plays it out to extra cover, and there is no run, and you can see the movement. Over number 4 comes to an end. That at the end of over number 4, it's 15 without loss. 15 without loss. Comparatively, Australia, they were 28 after 4.
Yes, and a very slow start here by West Indies, because as we are all aware, Charlo, the power plays where you're supposed to get some quick runs because of the restrictions on the field. And Kiana Joseph playing and missing a few times has struck 2 boundaries, but be that as it may, definitely a slow start. And you see, this is where the pressure mounts. Somebody of the caliber, the quality of Haley Matthews might very well have to up it a little bit in order to compensate for Kiana non-running in terms of the singles to keep it ticking over. So yeah, we'll see how Matthews will try to get off the mark and start it rolling from here. 2 overs left in the power play. They are behind the ball. They made 150 from 16 overs. That's just a little over 9, almost 10 and over. Try and cut that down quickly.
So Alana King comes into the attack, Stanley.
This is a very, very important 4-over spell here. Alana King.
I think she's the leg spinner.
The leg spinner, yeah.
And here she is in and bowls. And there is Matthews looking to swing that through mid-wicket. Misses.
She's a very, very expensive, successful wicket taker for Australia.
And so Alana King just got a message. See, he's driving over the top. That was tossed up and hit over the top, and they will come back for the second. And so she's off the mark. The total now on to 17 without loss. So Matthews going straight, not getting the power behind it as she would love, but she got 2. Alana King in and bowls, and she's driving hard.
She's dropped,
and
she has been dropped. It's a
It
powerful.
was hit very firmly indeed. Got a hand to it, but couldn't hold on.
It was hit very powerful indeed, and fortunate for Haley, she didn't. It didn't stick, as we said.
And so it's 17 without loss. As King once more in. Matthews goes back and slaps to extra cover. Diving effort there. And good groundwork again by Litchfield. And so Australia, they are very good in the outfield.
They're brilliant fielders, both men and women. We've seen it on television. Brilliant fielders.
King once more. Bowls to Matthews in. Matthews lifts that high and hard. This would clear defense. It does. All the way for 6. Tossed up, and Matthews says thank you. And that went over long off for 6. She goes on to 8. The total now on to 23. 23 without loss.
You do not bowl those type of deliveries to a quality player, a quality batter in Hayley Matthews. And it was short, asking to be hit, and she lifted it nonchalantly for a maximum. And certainly, when you're bowling to quality batters, you're supposed to bowl much better than that.
Goes back, and she's banging that over. Diving effort again by mid-off. Got a hand to it, couldn't hold on, and Hayley Matthews gets a life. And the total now goes on to 24. So at the end of over number 5, it's 24 without loss. And luckily for Hayley Matthews, the mid-off either.
Yes,
hold on.
Fortunate for her, but good luck to the West Indies, because she's the main batter. And had she gone, you know, it could have been a different ball game. But certainly, Alana King will have to find her length fairly quickly to bowl to Hayley Matthews, because we all know, the world knows she's a quality player.
So 9 runs coming in that over. And at the end of over number 5, Australia, they were 33. 33 for 1. The West Indies.
Who's that bowler? Number Perry. Ellesley Perry.
So Elise Perry comes into the attack from the southern end. And she'll be bowling right arm medium. Goes past the umpire, now bowls to Matthews. And Matthews is looking to scoop that. And not cueing it well. And in the end, they go out to backward point, and there is no run. So it's 24 without loss, as Perry will continue. Matthews waits, goes back and plays it out to square cover. They go through for 1. Good running and good backing up by Kiana Joseph. Good anticipation. She was off and running very quickly, recognizing the fielder had to cover some grounds to her right, and she got in rather comfortably. The total on to 25 without loss. So 25 without loss. Wonderful conditions here at the Annersville Sporting Complex. We can see the flags fluttering. Stanley, the month of March has been very windy.
Very windy. Reminds me very much of the month of January, where we do get this type of weather here. Very windy indeed, especially in the hole where I am. I can tell you, it was real wind 2 nights ago.
So it's pretty windy. Kiana Joseph comes in to strike. Waits on Elise Perry. In. Goes, and she was sizing up for that big hit, and in the end just defended it back to the bowler.
It's the variations there, because
Yes.
if you look at the approach of Perry to the stumps, she doesn't look as if she have any express plays, so she'll be bowling something like the South African fast bowler.
Lance Closer. So Perry goes past the umpire, not putting a lot of effort into the bowling. And he's swinging out to mid-wicket on defense. And over her head for 6. Deep backward square. Had some interest in it. And it just cleared her by a few inches, Stanley. And 6-2 to Kiana Joseph, and the crowd loving it.
Well, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether it passes a centimeter over her hands. The important thing is 6 runs in the scorebook. And that's exactly what West Indies need, because West Indies are behind the 8 ball, so to speak. And that 6 is very welcome by all.
So Perry once more into Joseph. Joseph is swinging out to mid-wicket. Deep backward square comes around fields. The total goes on to 32 without loss. And with that, she goes on to 18. Matthews, who is on 10, comes in to strike. 32 without loss. We are in over number 6. Perry. Number 8, doing some adjustments to a field. Short third man, backward point, square cover. There's a sweep on the boundary. Mid off, mid on, mid wicket. Deep backward square and a short fine leg in. And Matthews was looking to swing that out to mid wicket. Got an inside edge. Out to square leg. They jogged through for a single. And the total goes on to 33. So at the end of over number 6, Stanley, they are 33 without loss. And at that same stage, Australia, they were 30.
Yes, the thing about it is almost level pegging at the end of the 6 overs, the power play. And certainly what the Australians really went slowly. The interesting thing now between the 6th and the 10th over, where Australia just got 23. We'll see how much the West Indies would have gotten, because we know at the back end the Australians really motored their way from that position up to 164 for the loss of 6. So it's interesting to see exactly how things go. Now that the field can spread, we'll see exactly what approach Matthews and Kiana Joseph, how they will fare.
So there's a change in bowling at the far end. I think King, was it? No, there's some adjustments. So King will continue. And the hands are waving as if a traffic policeman is directing traffic. So here is King in bowls to Matthews, who goes back and forces it out to extra cover. There is no run. So King will continue. There is a short third man, backward point, sweep on the boundary, extra cover, long off, mid on, mid wicket, deep mid wicket on the fence, and deep backward square leg. And he's just swinging and he's bowled. And I think that was an injudicious shot there, Stanley. Swinging across the line, losing our stump. And the West Indies now at 33 for 1. Captain Hayley Matthews, bowled by Alana King for 10. And she makes her way back.
Yes, a vital wicket as far as the Australians are concerned, because Hayley Matthews is the lone player we know who can really give her team that type of start to challenge the 164 made by the Australians. Just flighty delivery. She went to cart it over mid-wicket, mid-on, long on, missed, and her stump was struck. And just about to make the punch, she has to be careful now at the mid-long on, and long on is out with Alana King. But she is one of the key bowlers in the Australian bowling lineup.
Just to tell you that earlier I got a note, a message from a friend in New York who said Alana King will run through the West Indies batting.
Well, I am not too sure about running through, but I know she is one of the key bowlers in the Australian bowling lineup.
So it looks like
Charmaine Campbell?
Chanel Campbell comes out to the battle.
Charmaine Campbell, yeah. Alana King is a very, very destructive bowler for Australia.
So she comes into bowl to Campbell, in and bowls, and Campbell is driving out to mid-on, firmly. There is no run. That was tossed up. Chanel Campbell. And
this is an interesting battle between Charmaine Campbell and Alana King.
so here, King once more, and this time he's forward. Guides it out to backward point. There is no run. And the total remains 33 for 1. And she's cutting that, beating the extra cover. Sweeper comes off the boundary. There's 1. That's all they would be. The return comes in. The total goes on to 34.
That is the difference between the Australian runners. They will definitely be scampering for 2. But with Kiana Joseph, that is a no-no.
It's impossible. So, Joseph comes in to strike. And you can hear through our microphones outside the crowd urging Joseph, come on Joseph. And they would want to see a few boundaries.
They've realized that this is a vital stage in the West Indies innings because they're not really having any runaway start.
So King comes in to bowl to Joseph, who goes back, works it out to extra cover. There is no run.
Here it is the difference, Charlo. The Australians would have stopped it right on the pitch and take a single. Keanu Joseph stroked it straight to the fielder with power. The Australians would have been a soft hand and they would have gotten a single. I think
West Indians.
yes, that is the difference we're seeing here. By the end of the over, it's now
34
for the loss of one. Same stage, 39 for one, the Australians. And certainly, so far at this particular point in time, is even Stevens.
Well, you can say that. Australia, I think they were 39 for 2. West Indies at 34.
This over is when they got the second wicket. So we'll see if they'll be following suit. From a West Indian point of view, it will be a no-no.
So the changes have been really wrong here by the captain. We see Ashley Gardner.
Yeah, another destructive bowler.
Is going to pick it up from the southern end. And so it's all spin attack in and bowls. And this swing through the deep backward diving effort, good work. And that should have been two, and a rather fleet-footed individual would have gotten too easily. But good work by the fielder down on the deep backward square boundary.
That's exactly what I just said. The ones remain one when it should have been two.
And so you got the total now on to 35 for one. And you can see the Australians, they're really putting their body on the line and to save every run that is humanly possible.
They are not world champions by guess, you know.
They have done a lot of work, a lot of hard work. Joseph waits for Gardner in. And he goes back and plays it back to the bowler. And there is no run, so it's still 35 for 1 in this chase, looking to get 165 for victory. In and bowls, and she's swinging out to square leg and bisecting the square leg on the deep mid wicket for 4. And that was slow, and she pulled it, tugged it really, and bisecting the deep backward square, the deep mid wicket, and down to the boundary for 4. The total goes out to 39.
A good shot there by Joseph, flighted, and she just stood there and swung her bat and bisected the two fielders. A needed boundary by the West Indies.
This time he's banging it to cover for 4. Lovely shot. He had the width and he gave her the room. And she's a powerful hitter of the cricket ball. And she banged it past extra cover down to the boundary for 4. So back-to-back boundary for Kiana Joseph. She rushes on to 26. The total now on to 43 for 1.
The best shot she has played thus far in this innings.
Gardner in bowls to Joseph. Joseph is swinging at that over the keeper's head. This could run close to the fence. They're gone for 1. They're going to come back for the second diving effort. I think they will have to do a boundary check. She comes back for the second. The total now on to 45. And so good work there by the Australians, saving 2 runs there, Stanley.
Yeah, we're just waiting on the boundary check, so to speak. So because she'll wait in the boundary check.
They'll do waiting on that check. And
well, see, it's the Kiana Joseph was there swinging for the hills.
Well, earlier today I was just looking at the West Indies T20 World Cup victory in 2016 with Carlos Brath with those 4 sixes. When he was told by Marlon Samuel, swing for the hills.
Yes, it's 2 runs.
So
check has been done. It's just 2 runs.
So 45. As here is Gardner once more to Joseph. Joseph works it out to mid wicket. They go for 1. That's all they will be. The total now on to 46. So 12 runs off that over, and a very productive over indeed by the West Indies. 46 after over number 8. Australia, they were 45. West Indies 46 for 1. Australia, they were 45 for 2.
Yes, it's level pegging at this particular point in time after 8 overs And Kiana Joseph, as I said, she's there now recognizing she's missing out on this single, swinging hard for the hills, looking to, what I cannot get by singles, I'll score it by boundaries. I think that's her approach so far.
So she is on 29, and there's a change in bowling at the northern end. McGrath comes into the attack. Comes in now and bowls. Joseph, who's working that out to mid-on. Long on comes off the boundary, and they will get a single. She goes on to 30. The total now on to 47 for 1. And the right-handed Campbell comes into strike. So she's on 2. We've lost Captain Haley Matthews for 11. She was bowled by Alana King for 11. So Molino, captain, is alongside McGrath. They have made some adjustments. And so for the right-hander, I'll give it the field in a while. McGrath bustling kind of run up, and there's Campbell laying it out to extra cover. There is no run. So there's a third man on the boundary. There's a backward point. There's a sweeper. Extra cover mid-off. There's a mid-on. Mid-wicket. A deep mid-wicket on the boundary. And a long leg on the boundary. McGrath in. And he's looking to cut that down to third man. Taken cleanly by Mooney. Who was looking to remove the bail. He was standing up for it to the medium pacer Stanley.
Yes, and she has this type of bowling very similar to Ngidi in what I just saw in the T20.
In and bowls, and she's swinging high to mid-wicket. That's 6. Short, and she picked it up beautifully and dispatched it over mid-wicket for 6. And the total goes on to 53.
53. But certainly, this is what the West Indies is known for, both men and women. Hitting these boundaries, these sixes, these maximums. And another one that's gone about, they have hit more sixes now than the Australians in their innings. But that is what West Indies are known for.
So the 50 coming up in the 9th over. And so the run rate just about increasing to 6.12. As McGrath once more, and she's looking to swing that, taking on the pad. And half-hearted appeal, not out, says the umpire. Again, Bag, who has no interest, just walks away.
One is getting the impression this is going to be a close game.
Well, Campbell, they're looking to put the pressure back on Australia, looking to up the tempo. As McGrath once more in. And she swing out to mid-wicket, through the hands of the fielder, and down to the boundary goes for 4. She was coming in, Stanley, and in the end stopped. But it went burst through her hands, and over the rope it goes. It looks like the Alana King, the guilty offender there. And the total now on to 57 for 1.
Certainly, fortune favouring the West Indies thus far. And 3 catches have gone down. So things are definitely working in the West Indies' favour. And I just made mention, it appears to me as it's going to be building up to a close finish. That's exactly what I think I am seeing.
Well, Australia not known to have dropped so many catches.
3 has already gone. But that is the name of the game.
That's part of the game.
That's part of the game. But be that as it may, let's see how it goes from here. Because what they have done in this over, they have put the pressure right back on the Australians.
Definitely. So 57 at the same stage. Australia, they were 49 for 2. West Indies 57 for 1. Kiana Joseph comes into strike. She's on strike. Wareham comes into the attack. And she's swinging out to mid-wicket. That's one bounce into the fence, 4 more. And the crowd is alive here at Arnorsville as the total rushes on to 61. 61 for 1. We are in over number 10.
Yes, flighted, and Kiana stood there and just swung her back with the body strength, the upper body strength, and it just sailed between long on and deepish mid-wicket. Once you bowl in that general area, she is going to score, and the Australians have not learned. You have to keep that ball like that going. She'll be hitting a lot of boundaries.
in, and that's wide outside the off stump, and so signaled by umpire. The total goes on to 62. Kiana Joseph, she's on 34. Campbell is on 12. And Wareham comes in to bowl to the left-handed Kiana Joseph, who is looking to swing that outside the leg stump, half-hearted appeal. They are appealing, but umpire Williams really has no interest whatsoever.
I think that's outside the leg stump.
From our vantage point, it's clearly outside the leg stump. Total remains 62.
But they are desperate for a wicket, especially Kiana, who's hitting boundaries. Forget about the singles because she's not going to get them. So let me try and hit singles. Try and hit boundaries.
62 for 1. Wareham, number 35 on the back of her shirt, in and bowls. And Joseph is swinging out to square leg for another boundary. That's 4 more. And the crowd is really erupting here at the Arnoldville Sports Complex. They are cheering every run. And the total really motoring on from the bat of Kiana Joseph.
There's some very poor bowling to her. There's no two ways about it. And she's capitalizing on these slow deliveries, short of a length, and she's powerful.
66 for 1, in. And again, she's swinging that out to mid-wicket. But deep mid-wicket cover well to her left. And she keeps it down to a single. But I think she was deceived there with the pace. And the one hand came off the bat. So she didn't get the power that she was looking for. And the total goes on to 67.
She's certainly posing a threat to the Australians here with this power hitting, I should call it. Because she's gotten a chance, yes. But she's making hay while the light shines.
Well, we are under the lights here at Arnoldville as Wareham in and bowls, and Campbell is using her feet, works it out to square leg, who comes off the boundary. They'll get a single. The total goes on to 68. So, 68 for 1. We are still in over number 10. And so, West Indies looking very promising. 39 to Kiana Joseph, 13 to Campbell. Joseph comes back into strike. Wareham is in, and she gets a Yorker that is outside the leg stump from our vantage point. Yorker length delivery, and bubbles out to square leg. So end of over number 10, Stanley. West Indies at the end of over number 10. They are 68 for 1. Comparatively, Australia, they were 57 for 2.
There are 11 runs to the good at this particular point in time in the innings, thanks to a belligerent innings we are seeing here from Kiana Joseph. And she's really been taking the Australian bowling to task. And it's interesting to see what happens in the next 10 overs, the other half of the game. Because we know the Australians are fighters, and I believe they'll be doing all in their utmost in terms of affecting the wicket of Kiana Joseph. But there's still the Andrew Datting to come, another power hitter. So the ball is definitely in the West Indies court to try and push it in this final 10. Bearing in mind, Australia got 107 in the last 10. They will need now 97 from 10.
From 10.
So I suspect it's going to be a close game.
So in the 10, we have Hayley Matthews. She was bowled by Alana King for 11. Kiana Joseph, she's not out 39. Campbell, she's not out 13. So at the end of over number 10, as they take their water break, and we take a word from our sponsor, West Indies, they are 68 for 1.
SVG, get ready! The National Lotteries Authority is now offering more chances to win with 3D and Play 4 now 3 times a day. 3 times a day. There's a morning draw at 11 a.m., afternoon draw time 3 p.m., and the night draw from 9 p.m. Get your tickets for 3D and Play 4 now drawn 3 times daily, Monday to Saturday, all from the National Lotteries Authority, giving you more chances to win. Any terms and conditions apply.
Brick by brick, piece by piece, building with technology, helping wealth increase, starting small, building the future, doing more every day, doing more together. BOSVG, the bank we count on. BOSVG.
TG, doing more together.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines. T20 cricket is back at the Arnesville Sports Complex. The West Indies women versus Australia women. We outside. March 19th, 21st, and the 23rd at 6:30 p.m. sharp. Entry is free for everyone. Bring the entire family and let's rally with our Maroon Warriors. We outside at Arnesville. Don't miss it. Visit windiescricket.com for full fixtures.
So welcome back to the Arnesville and the very first delivery of the innings and the resumption. Campbell dropped on the long on boundary. She picked up a single. She goes on to 18, and there is Kiana Joseph looking to work that on the onside and taking on the pad half-hearted appeal. Look at Alana King, who comes back into the attack. It's 69 for 1, and Australia, they have put down some 4 catches thus far.
Very much un-Australians. Yep.
Very much unlike the Australians.
4 catches, and all should have been taken. But, as I said, the slice of luck seemed to be going to the West Indies.
So, they are the home team. And once more, Joseph works it out to square leg. He gets a single. She goes on to 40. The total now on to 70 for 1. And the ball has returned to Alana King. And it's Campbell, who is on 14, comes into strike. And certainly a very good crowd here, Stanley, from what we have seen from the start. And again, there's Campbell there looking for to improvise, and it's certainly not needed at this stage.
She has to be very careful. We do not have the benefit of any replay, but that appears to me to be fairly close.
Looking at it,
to be honest with you, look at it.
But umpire says
not out and not out. Let's roll.
Continues in and bowls to Campbell. Campbell's lifting that straight out to long on. Hood stops it on the bounce. Good piece of work by the fielder on the boundary there, Stanley. That was hit very, very firmly.
Very
was
powerful.
Really traveling.
Very powerful. And what is needed here by the West Indies bat is to bat as long as possible, get the total closer to the Australian, because the Andrew Dutton is still later to come.
So it's Joseph, who is on 40, comes into strike, and she's swinging out to mid-wicket. Comes off the boundary. She'll keep it down to a single. And Campbell, who is on 15, comes back into strike. In fact, the over comes to an end, it looks like. Yes, it is. So at the end of over number 11, Stanley, we West Indies, and this was a stage where the Australians upped it.
Yes.
West Indies are 72. Australia, they were 67.
Yeah, they're just 5 runs ahead, but this is the stage where Australia put their foot down on the pedal, and they really motored that 10-11 over for the next couple of overs, and they actually got to the competitive 164 for 6. So the question now of how long West Indies will love Kiana Joseph to stay as long as possible. They wish he's batting, and they sort of seemingly missed chances by the Australians. They would certainly love the West Indies, would love for him to stay out there at least for another 5 overs, which means they will get closer to the total. And Chanel Henry herself, she is a pretty good hitter as well. So we are seeing the power hitters, as we call them, they are known for.
There's also Stephanie Taylor, who still is in the hunt. So here comes Guard to bowl to Kiana Joseph, who is driving over the middle of the go for 1. This would run close to the fence. It hits the ropes now, that 4. She goes on to 45. The total now on to 76. 76 for 1, and they're doing a little dancing in mid-pitch. So West Indies, the crowd is behind them. You could hear the drums going, the horns blaring, and God, very first delivery. She's been put under pressure by Joseph.
A better effort should have been made by that number 6 for Australia there. I'll get to the play.
Number 8, Perry, in and bowls She's swinging out on the onside, taking on the body, and there is no run. So the total remains 76 for 1.
Yeah, Perry should have made a better effort, but be that as it may, as I said earlier, Charlo, the slices of luck is going West Indies' way. Yes, there's no two ways about it. But sometimes you do need these things in this charting version of cricket.
Right, so Garth. Runs away from us. In and bowls to Joseph. Joseph is swinging high and hard out to mid-wicket. This time she's taken on the boundary. Straight into the hands of the deep mid-wicket. And she goes at 76 for 2. And we're in over number 12. Stanley, I think that's not what the crowd wanted.
I really thought it had gone again in the President's Suite.
I was looking for it, but it didn't have the height. Really, the elevation wasn't there. And right into the hands of the mid-wicket, who judged it well.
And she gone for 45. But a pretty, I will call it a belligerent knock by Kiana Joseph. Yes, there are slices of luck here or there, but that's cricket. And set a pretty reasonable platform for the West Indies to motor on to their eventual total if they are to get there. But certainly it's a good platform for DeAndre Dutton. Is it DeAndre Dutton?
It looks like Stephanie Taylor.
Oh, Stephanie Taylor. I certainly would have brought in DeAndre Dutton to keep the momentum with the power hitting. But maybe they are holding it back for the back end. I'm not sure. But be that as it may, West Indies have lost their second wicket at 76. Kiana Joseph gone for 45, and this is just what the doctor ordered for the Australians. And are we going to see an improvement in their fielding, their catching, and to tighten things up and put back the pressure on West Indies? Because West Indies really in a momentum, keeping the momentum going through Kiana Joseph. So we'll see exactly how it goes now with Stephanie Taylor.
So the experienced Stephanie Taylor comes out as she waits on guard. Shot, and she goes back and just drops it out on the onside, and there is no run.
But she came here for the first time, Charlo, when she was only 12.
She has been around for a very long time.
The matches were played at Annisvale 1 and 2, and she was a 12-year-old plaiting the hair of other women. She was only 12. I'll never forget that. She's still here after all these years. And certainly we'll be looking to try and make a contribution to the total tonight.
And Bowes, and again she goes back and just plays it on the onside, and there is no run.
So that wicket is a crucial wicket that has just gone there in Kiana Joseph. Unorthodox style, but she really has lit up the crowd, so to speak, who were really dancing and singing and carrying on in the pavilion here. And the crowd has really improved tremendously.
So here is Garth to bowl to Taylor, in and bowls, and Taylor is guiding that out on the offside. Once a single is not there, that would have been suicidal. And the over comes to an end. A very good over indeed by Garth, and a successful one. And at the end of over number 12, the West Indies, they are 76 for 2. Just some 4 runs coming in that over.
Yes, a pretty good over there, crucial over there as far as the Australians are concerned. Having seen the dismissal of Kiana Joseph, who was motoring along here at Annisvale tonight. She got 45, belligerent knock and red hit. Quite a few boundaries, I think it's about 3 sixes, thereabout. And number 4s, but certainly a good knock by Kiana Joseph. And let's see how the Australians are going to fight the West Indies now with Henry and Taylor at the crease at 76 for 2.
Well, at the 12th over, Australia had scored 16 runs. And there it is. Oh my word. There is Campbell driving it straight into mid-off's hand. And she dropped it.
The 5th catch of the night. There must be an inquiry as to why they're not taking these catches.
Here is Campbell looking to sweep that. She's giving out LBW again, reverse sweep. Totally uncalled for. Up when the finger of the umpire. Alana King strikes once again. The West Indies, from being at 76 for 1, they are now 76 for 3.
What can I say? She should have been out the previous delivery. That Dolly have a catch. She then tried to, instead of settle herself, she tried to play a reverse sweep. The pressure is not on the West Indies, but on the Australians. The way how Shami Cam, she went for what, 17? Yeah, but she chose a shot, she missed, and the umpire had no hesitation lifting the finger. And West Indies suddenly with a setback. 2 very quick wickets. And at 76 now for 3, they need to go through a rebuilding stage because there's 2 new batters at the crease. Alana King now into a 3rd over, and certainly we'll see how things pans out from here. But certainly the momentum has suddenly swung
shifted
a little bit.
Yes, so
in terms
Australia.
of balance, not Australians winning, balance. If they can have 4 5 cheap overs, the pressure will definitely go right back to the West Indies.
So Deandra Dottin comes out to do battle.
This is a crucial partnership here.
So it's Dottin and Taylor, 2 of the most
Experience.
experienced players in the West Indies lineup.
No time to settle, they have to go.
So here is Alana King in and bowls. And he's looking to tuck that on the onside, half-hearted appeal. And Alana is in her final over, Stanley. Some 3.3 overs so far. She has picked up some 2 for 14. And really, I think Campbell really there. I would say she has gifted her wicket away. King in and bowls, and Dottin is looking to swing that inside edge out to square leg. And there is no run.
What Deandra Dottin should be doing here is to play her out. She is the
one
key
delivery
bowler.
thing.
It's important that she do not do anything out of the ordinary here or rash.
I think there's a bit of drizzle coming around, and the umpires are taking some precautions, and the players are making their way off, Stanley.
But I don't see any reason for
From
it.
from
I
our
really don't see any reason
vantage
for it, Charlie. It's just
And
trickling.
It's a very light drizzle. I'm not in a position to see up the hills, but they're playing it safe.
Yeah, I could understand that. But to be honest with you, Charlie, I really don't see any reason for it because they could have continued in terms of how many balls remaining in the over? 1, 2. They could have bowled the other 2, and in case of a DLS to come in, they would have been able to do the necessary. But be that as it may, they have made the call. They have called for the covers, and there's a stoppage in play here now with West Indies 76 for the loss of 3 after 12.4 overs, and Australia was 87 at the end of this particular over when they were batting. So it was a situation whereby I don't understand it. But anyway, Charlo, we live here, so we'll know exactly what's happening. But the covers are coming on.
Right, so play has been interrupted, and the covers are now coming on. We'll go back to master control until we resume, and to where we can bring it to you live from the Annersville Sports Complex.
SVG, get ready! The National Lotteries Authority is now offering more chances to win with 3D and Play 4 now 3 times a day. 3 times a day. There's a morning draw at 11 a.m., afternoon draw time 3 p.m., and the night draw from 9 p.m. Get your tickets for 3D and Play 4 now drawn 3 times daily, Monday to Saturday, all from the National Lotteries Authority, giving you more chances to win. Any terms and conditions apply.
Brick by brick, piece by piece, building with technology, helping wealth increase, starting small, building the future, doing more every day, doing more together. BOSVG, the bank we count on. BOSVG, our one bank together we're strong. Our nation's bank, standing long.
SBG, doing more together.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines. T20 cricket is back at the Arnesville Sports Complex. The West Indies women versus Australia women. Way outside. March 19th, 21st, and the 23rd at 6:30 p.m. sharp. Entry is free for everyone. Bring the entire family and let's rally with our Maroon Warriors. We outside at Arnesville. Don't miss it. Visit windiescricket.com for full fixtures.
So welcome back to the Honoursville Sports Complex as we are about to resume after a pretty short break there, Stanley, for interruption due to rain. You see the umpires and the Australian team making their way back to the middle, followed by the two not-out batters in DeAndre Dottin, yet to score. So too is Stephanie Taylor, both on 0. And the West Indies are 76 for 3, trying to get 165 for victory.
And the West Indies innings is at a crossroad at this particular point in time. Good momentum from Joseph and Campbell, but both have been dismissed within the last couple of balls, and they had 2 new batters in. It's a question of trying to get how many more runs. I need, you'll work it out for me. Need how many runs from how many balls? But then just in
89.
89 from.
We are in the 12, let's see.
72?
72. 7.2 overs, that would be
7-6 to 42. 44 balls to get 80. 44 to get
89.
89. It's so the momentum with this rain that has just had the spirit saying, I think it will go to Australia with the break because they can resume and try to get in a few dot balls whilst dotting and
one of the things you that will also contend with is that the little dew, the little rain, the outfield would be a little wet.
Yeah, it will.
And hence the grip on the ball you can affect the bowler. So here is Alana King in now, bowls to Dottin, and Dottin is driving back to the bowler. There is no run.
I don't think it will affect them that much because it wasn't really it wasn't even a drizzle per se. It wasn't even a drizzle.
King with the final delivery of her spell. Eden bowls to Dottin. Dottin is swinging. She's bowled.
Oh my God.
Middle stump knocked back, swinging across the line. And the West Indies from a position of strength at 76 for 1. They're now 76 for 4.
Well. This is, to me, the killer blow as far as West Indies is concerned, because the person who can keep up with the strike rate, which is DeAndre Dottin, going across the line from Alana King, and she's knocked the off stump out of the ground, taking her 3rd wicket. West Indies floundering a bit now at 76 for 4, and the pressure is on the West Indies.
Most definitely. So Alana finishing with 3 for 14.
Mm-hmm.
Of her 4 overs, 3 for 14, and really that had put the brakes on the West Indies, as well as the West Indies finding themselves under a lot of pressure.
Yes, and it will take a tremendous effort from the rest of the West Indies batting lineup in terms of getting to 166 to win this game. It's 165 to win this game. It's not going to be easy because the power hitters, so to speak, in DeAndre Dottin, Haley Matthews, and the others are back in the pavilion. First ball from this to southern end, a wide, as we continue there now, 77 for 4.
Gardner with a wide, 77, and Chanel Henry comes out to do battle. So Gardner to Taylor, in and bowls. Taylor is driving pleasantly to straight extra cover, and there is no run. The total remains 77 for 4, and how quickly things have changed as Gardner in once more bowls, and Taylor is swinging that out to square leg, who has a run to her right, feels well, keeps it down to a single, and the return comes in. Good one for Mooney. The total goes on to 78. And Chanel Henry comes in to strike. She's taking guard from umpire Williams. And see umpire Williams having a conversation with Gardner. Not too sure what it's all about. She looks rather relaxed, umpire. And she's now, there's Henry. Was taking a leg stump card. Gardner in and bowls. She goes back, works it out on the onside, and they scamper through for a single. So she's off the mark immediately. The total goes on to 79. So both batters are on 1. And Taylor comes back into strike. She looks around. She has been around for a very, very long time. And the West Indies, Gardner goes and he's looking to tuck that on the onside, taking on the body. Dot goes into the scorebook. There is no run. 79 for 4. Ashley Gardner goes past the umpire now, bowls. And Taylor is defending. And each dot ball adds more pressure. And the run rate keeps mounting. At the present moment, the required run rate is 13.95.
That will take a tremendous bit of doing by the remainder of the
Herculean effort
batters.
to get there.
There's no two ways about it.
Gardner bowls and Taylor is defending once again. There is no run. And the over comes to an end, Stanley. At the end of over number 13, it's 79. So it's 3 runs coming off that over.
Over number 14. Was it 14? Yes, it is.
Yes, over number 14.
14, 79 for 4. Asking rate over 13. And certainly the West Indies are right under the gun, so to speak. They're under a lot of pressure here. They have just 6 overs to get 85 more runs. 86 more runs. That's a tremendous doing with your main strikers back in the pavilion.
Well, a lot of work to be done.
This 164 for 6 by the Australians, as I said earlier, is going to be a competitive total.
So Perry comes back into the attack. Number 8. Here is Perry into bowl to Henry. Henry goes back and bangs it out to the sweeper on the boundary. And they threw for 1. Total now on to 80. 80 for 4. We are in over number 15. And Stephanie Taylor comes in to strike. And he's looking to guide that one on the outside. Take on the bottom part of the bat and just bubble back in front of her. And there is no run. So 80 for 4. Perry turns. Comes in now and bowls. And Taylor is guiding that out to cover. The sweeper comes off the boundary again, keeps it down to a single, and the total goes on to 81. And really, the boundaries have dried up, and how quickly the run rate keeps mounting.
Keeps climbing.
15.27 required under the Duckworth-Lewis system. Stanley, if rains now, the West Indies should have been at 112.
Well, they have dropped since the fall of Kiana Joseph's wicket. They have fallen back badly.
And there is Henry driving hard to extra cover, who knocks it down. There's a full toss and she banged it straight to the fielder. And no run. Total remains 81 for 4. So the pressure, I think, is taking its toll on the West Indies batters at this moment. Perry goes back. Comes in now to bowl 2. Henry, who is swinging out to mid-wicket, who has a long run. They've gone for 1. They should come back for the second, and they will get that comfortably. And they do. Total now on to 83. We're in over number 15. Final delivery of the 15th over coming up. As the West Indies 83 for 4. Henry, who's on 4. Waits. Perry. And she's slapping that out to cover. Sweeper again comes off the boundary, keeps it down to a single. Total now on to 84, 84 for 4. So at the end of over number 15, it's 84 for 4. And Stanley, some 5 runs in that over.
Yeah, yes, Charlo. The thing about it is the Australians have dried up the runs. And if even they were to get 5 and 6 per over, they'll be way behind the 8 ball, because right now at 84 for 4, just 5 overs at 30 balls to get 81. It's climbing a mountain. And the thing about the Australians, they said once they got 1 or 2, they're going to be very difficult. They'll put you under a lot of pressure. At this same stage, the Australians were 115.
Yes, so that is
That
about
is 31 runs ahead.
31 runs ahead.
And with
Major
2 set
difference.
batters. But what we have now is just
2 new batters.
2 new batters. So West Indies really under a lot of pressure here. And it will take a Herculean effort for West Indies to get close.
So where comes into the attack from this end? He's looking to swing that. But Henry got an inside edge. They will get 2. It went past the keeper, and then back for the second. The total goes on to 86. And with that, she goes on to 7.
No, 2 leg byes.
In fact, 2 legs by signal. So she remains on 5.
So probably West Indies in Kiana Joseph, and they would have scored all the boundaries.
And Campbell.
Campbell, they would have scored all the boundaries.
Wareham to Henry, in and bowls. She's sweeping at that, goes past the keeper. They hustle for 1. They should come back for the second. We'll wait on the signal from the umpire. The total goes on to 88. Leg byes again, signal by the umpire. So 86. Should be 88.
88.
88. 88 for 4. Wareham. In and bowls. And she's driving inside edge into the pad, and there is no run. The total remains 88 for 4. In a reply to Australia for 164 for 6. So the West Indies still needing 77 runs of 27 deliveries in. And he's cutting at that outside edge. This will run close to the fence. They're gone for 1. They will come back for the second. It's pulled back inside the third man boundary. And they'll get 2 more. So that's total now on to 90. 90 for 4. And the boundaries have really dried up. It has been quite a while since we have our last boundary, Stanley.
Yes, quite a while since Kiana Joseph left. That's quite a few overs ago.
Yes. So Wareham comes into bowl to Chanel Henry, who is driving inside edge down to short fine leg. There's no run. And the total remains 90 for 4. We're in the 16th over. At this stage, the West Indies should have been 122. Wareham in. Bowls. She's sweeping at that. Stephanie Taylor wants a single in the end. She says no. So at the end of over number 16, it's 90. 90 for 4. 6 runs coming in that over, Stanley. And Australia at that stage were 128.
Yes, the thing about it, Charlie, the last 6 overs, the West Indies batting, they've only gotten 18 runs. And this is where the game has twisted from the time Kiana Joseph got out. As I said to you before, they are not number 1 for the sake of giving them a number 1 position. They're showing you what metal they are made of, the resilience they were made of in that third wicket partnership between Mooney and Perry. And they really tilted the game, got right wrong to the Australian. Competitive 164 for 6. And the way things are going, I do not believe, honestly, some people may not like me to say it, I do not believe they'll get the runs.
Well, should come back into the attack. She's driven hard up to mid-off. There's no run. And that's the way the West Indies batted. Rather than just pushing it in the outside, Stanley, you're looking to bang the ball. You're looking for the ball straight to the fielder. And there is no run, even if the fielder is on the 30-yard circle.
Yeah, rather than check and go for the single. Play with soft hands.
Shoot once more. And she's driving straight again to extra cover. And there is no run.
all she
more
needed,
pressure mounting.
all she needed, a child, is to check on the square to the right, and she'll get a comfortable single.
So
But
the
she's
run
playing
rate-
with power, but straight to the fielders.
The run rate has gone above 20.
They're not gonna get a child. Sad to say it.
Shoots once more in and bowls. And she's guiding that past third man. This could run very close to the fence. There's a long run here for the fielder. She gives up the chase. It goes across the ropes now. That's guard. And it is 4 runs to Taylor. And the total goes on to 94. 94 for 4. Wearing over number 17. So Taylor now, she's on 6 from 13 deliveries. And Henry 7 from 11. So strike rate not what he would like at this present moment. Shoots in once more to Taylor. Taylor is swinging high and hard. Someone has interest on deep mid-wicket. And it's over her head and in for 6.
Didn't she get a hand to it?
Well, no. I think that she got the help of the wind, Stanley, and cleared the fielder. She had some interest. She was right on the boundary edge, and in the end, clearing her easily. And 6 runs, the 100 comes up.
We'll look at it again. Let's see. Yes, it's cleared her head.
Yes, 100 comes up. There's 100 now in the 17th in the over. 100 for 4. The West Indies still needing 65 of some 20 deliveries.
20.
In and bowls, and she's guiding that square long run for the fielder. Sweep on the boundary. He covered grounds very, very quickly indeed, and had the return back to the keeper in a flash. The total onto 101 for 4. Taylor, she goes on to 13. Henry, who is on 7, comes in to strike, and they would need some big, big boundaries if they are to get close to the total. Shoots in bowls to Henry. Henry's backing that out to the fielder, who comes off the long off boundary, and if she keeps it down to a single, the total goes on to 102. So at the end of over number 17, the West Indies, they are 102 for 4. At that stage, Australia, they were 141.
Yes, and that's the big difference between the games, because the third wicket partnership actually swung the game and put the game sort of in a position when Australia have to really feel badly for them to lose, because the record continues here at Anfield. The team that bats first here in T20 matches tend to win the games once they can get a decent total on the scoreboard. Because you saw it when Afghanistan beat Australia men in the 2024 World Cup, T20 World Cup.
So here is Gardner to Henry. Henry's swinging that straight back over the bowler's head. Long off and comes around. Feels well. She's coming back for the second. They decide in the end no. And luckily
fortunate too.
Luckily for them, it was a good decision. So a single to Henry. She goes to 9. And Taylor, who is on 13, comes in to strike. That's 103 for 4. We are in over number 18. Gardner in bowls to Taylor. Taylor is driving straight to extra cover. They're going through for 1. And I think in the end, they're getting it. Chanel Henry, they're diving for all her worth to get in. And does so. It seems to be a little winded, but she's on her feet. And the total goes on to 104.
I really was looking forward to a very close game, to be honest with you.
So Henry on strike, in and bowls. She's swinging, not timing it well. It's in the air, but lands safely as the mid-wicket was coming in off the boundary and landed well before she could get there. Wareham, and they go through for a single. The total now on to 105. 105, so 10 to Henry. Taylor, who is on 14, comes in to strike. Goes back, cuts past third man off the outside edge. This will go into the fence. 4 runs. She was cutting at the top edge and it flew down to third man for a boundary. The total now on to 109.
Yes, good shot there by Taylor outside the off stump. She opened the face and ran it down to third man for a much needed boundary, bringing the scores closer and closer. But the run rate, I believe, is completely out of their hands.
Gardner into Taylor. Taylor is swinging that, beats the short fine leg. This could be back-to-back boundary. It does. The deep backward square leg couldn't cover grounds enough to keep it in. 4 more to Taylor. The total now on to 113. And the crowd is getting back into it. Taylor goes on to 22. With her is Chanel Henry, who is on 10. And really, is it a little too late?
I think this is a bit too late because what you really need is quite a few maximums to pull the West Indies closer.
Gardner in, balls to Taylor. Taylor hits that straight. Long off, comes off the boundary, fields on the bounce. They take a single and the total goes on to 114. So at the end of over number 18, the West Indies are 114 for 4. Some 12 runs coming in that over. Stanley still needing 51 runs of 12 deliveries.
Well, the asking rate is 25.50. I do not see them getting it period.
Seems to be a very good math student.
I do not see them getting it period because they'll have to hit quite a few sixes. And I do not think they will be able to do that. So it appears if Australia will go one up, it's a question of the margin of victory.
So 22 to Taylor, 23 to Taylor. She will be on strike as Garth comes back into the attack. And she has 3 overs, 1 for 11. Taylor waits in. And she's looking to flash that through the offside, misses, and not taken cleanly by Mooney, but no run. It's still 114 for 4. But certainly what is surprising tonight, Australia, they have been rather sloppy in the field.
Yes, very.
Dropping some 5 catches. And very unlike an Australian team. In and bowls, and she's swinging at that and missing, and there's another dot goes into the scorebook. So 51 needed off 10.
Driving another nail into the coffin with every dot ball. They're not gonna get it, Charlie. I'm very sorry to let our listeners know they're not gonna get these runs, but it's to see how much more they can get. So coming into the second game on Saturday night.
So Garth from the northern end in and bowls. And again, she's flashing at that and missing. So 3 dots goes into the scorebook. Yes. So pressure mounting for each dot ball. And
they need 7 runs per ball to win this game.
Garth in and bowls. Taylor is driving straight back over the bowler, said powerfully, but long on, comes around and feels well and keeps it down to a single. And the non-striker Chanel Henry had to take a bit of evasive action. So to the umpire, it's very powerful indeed. And Taylor with that, she goes on to 24 from 23 deliveries. Chanel Henry comes into strike. She's on 13. 10 from 13 deliveries, I think. And here is Garth once more. 10 from 14. In and bowls. And she's driving over cover on the bounce to the sweeper, and she'll get a single. And she fires it in. And the total now on to 116. Garth has had a pretty good spell. Just 1 delivery remaining in her spell. She has 1 for 13. As Stephanie Taylor comes back into strike, she's on 24. In and waits. And she's hitting that high and hard, straight back over the bowler's head. 1 bounce across the ropes for 4. And the total goes on to 120. So at the end of over number 19, Stanley, 120 for 4. And Stephanie Taylor, she goes on to 20.
Yes, final rights to the game, so to speak. They got 16 runs, 6 runs in that over. Not really helping their cause towards 166, 165 to win. And suddenly Australia will come away with a bigger margin of victory than we all had anticipated. The way they were going in terms of Keanu Joseph and Campbell, Shamaine Campbell. Unfortunate for West Indies. Some flutter of wickets at the score on 76 created all the problems for them. So it's a matter of the margin of victory, the 6 balls to get 45 runs.
Wareham, and just swings out to the backward square, who is on the boundary fields well and keeps it down to a single. The total goes on to 121 and 44
from
44 needed from 5 deliveries. So we need approximately 5 runs, 9 runs and over.
About 9 runs per ball. When last has a boundary been struck anyway?
Well, Stephanie Taylor just hit one day over before, and she's lifting that, and long on has interest straight into her hands. And Stephanie Taylor she goes for 28.
And the final rights, another 4 deliveries. West Indies just lost their 5th wicket at 121 now for the 5th wicket. As I believe, would it be Janelia Joseph, the local player who just 4 balls to bat? I think it should be her, but we're not too sure. We'll wait. We'll wait to see if it is her, because certainly West Indies on the cusp of losing this game. And unfortunately for the West Indies, it's not really been a happy hunting ground for the whether it's men or women.
Well, in recent years.
But in the earlier days, we were always winning here.
It was a wonderful place for the West Indies.
Always were winning here at Allensville, but suddenly the tables have turned. We continue to lose game. But again, it goes back to even when we had Bangladesh, I said the team no bat first. Once you get a decent total, you're going to win.
So, some 4 deliveries remaining.
Is it Janelia Gasco?
It's just wait. It is
yes,
a
it is, sir. It is Janelia.
In and bowls. She's swinging and not taking on the body. And there is no run. Seems as if the scoreboard stuck. 121 for 5. Just replay there. That was the dismissal of Stephanie Taylor. So it's Claxton. And she's driving mid-off, long off, has some interest, takes the catch. And that's Gardner. And Claxton goes. So 121 for 6. The West Indies.
Maybe the eyesight is getting accustomed to the lights now. They're taking anything that goes into the air. Previously, where they drop what? 5 catches?
Yes, some 5 catches.
Some 5 catches went, and suddenly the last 2 stuck into that.
This should be Janelia Joseph at this point.
Janelia Glasgow.
So, Jazara Claxton perishing in that delivery. And
so our 121 now for 6.
Yes, 121 for 6. That's the call at the present moment as we enter the final over of the West Indies innings. Wareham has picked up 2 wickets so far in this over. Wareham to bowl to Glasgow. Glasgow is looking to cut that and misses, taken cleanly by the keeper. This is turning out to be an excellent over by Wareham, Georgia Wareham. final delivery. In and bowls, and Glasgow is just defending back to the bowler, and there is no run. So there's Wareham picking up some 2 for 14. Stanley off 3 overs, and the West Indies 121 for 6, losing by some 43 runs. Stanley.
Yes, as the Australians completed their victory here by 43 runs in a game that had 2 twists that really turned the game upside down. They started slowly in their innings. The first 10 they only got to 57, but a very, very powerful third wicket partnership between Beth Mooney 79 and Elise Perry got 36, shifted the balance as Australia moved from 57 for 2 to 156 for 3, and then eventually 164 for 6. And I thought at the time it was a very competitive total, and West Indies will really have to bat well to get up to 165. Eventually, the West Indies started slowly, but then Kiana Joseph played a belligerent innings and threatened the Australians, and eventually when she got out, it was just a matter of time.
So Joseph, she got 45, Stephanie Taylor 28, Shamin Campbell 15, Captain Haley Matthews got 11, Alana King picked up 3 for 14, Georgia Wareham 2 for 14, and Kim Gard 1 for 17 to be the main wicket takers for Australia. A comfortable victory for Australia here in the very first T20 of a 3-match series right here at Arnesville.
Certainly it was a very, very good performance by Australia outside of their poor catching.
Yes, so their fielding would have let them down. They dropped some 5 catches tonight, but in the end they came out with a commanding victory.
Yes. Their catching left a lot to be desired.
And really, so they have started 1-0 up in the 3-match series. The West Indies have just 1 day to do some repair work and to come back on Saturday to see how competitive they can be and see if they can level the game and set up a finale.
What do you think they ought to improve on in order to be closer to the Australians?
What they will have to, I think they will have to look at their running between the wickets, the way the way they play the ball. Again, you have to look at finding the gaps, playing sometimes with the soft hands and getting the ball in the gap so that they can really turn over the strike, get their turn ones into 2s, not running as hard as we saw the Australian running earlier on. So some work to be done. I know the Australians, they will go back to the drawing board. They would have to do some practice in terms of catching. Not sure if the lights have affected them, but they are known to be a team that are very good in the field. But tonight their catching let them down. But in the end, coming away with a victory.
Yes, comfortable victory. And the thing about it is that the West Indies, they did not bowl that badly. It's just that this partnership took it away from them, showing the level of professionalism from Beth Mooney particularly, and they really pulled the game away from the West Indies at that stage. But be that as it may, it was a good effort, I thought, by the West Indies. But had they taken those catches, who knows what the margin of victory could have been.
Well, and that's where it is. So in the very first T20 here at Arnesville, Australia coming away victorious by some 43 runs. They batted first, won the toss and batted, got 164 for 6. The West Indies in reply, 121 for 6. And we'll be back here on Saturday night for the second game of the 3-match series to bring it to you live from the Arnesville Sports Complex. Compliments the National Lotteries Authority and the Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And on behalf of Stanley Gunny Hines, our production team, in Colvin Harry, and my dear friend, Mr. Prescott, Daniel Sprott. and we go back to Master Control. Thanks for sharing the night with us, and we look forward for you on a Saturday night.
SVG, get ready! The National Lotteries Authority is now offering more chances to win with 3D and Play 4 now 3 times a day. 3 times a day. There's a morning draw at 11 a.m., afternoon draw time 3 p.m., and the night draw from 9 p.m. Get your tickets for 3D and Play 4 now drawn 3 times daily, Monday to Saturday, all from the National Lotteries Authority, giving you more chances to win. Any terms and conditions apply.
Brick by brick, piece by piece, building with technology, helping wealth increase. Starting small, building the future, doing more every day, doing more together. BOSVG, the bank we count on. BOSVG, our one bank together we're strong. Our nation's bank, standing long and proud. One bank, one voice, sing it loud. BOSVG, BOSVG, hey, building our future. BOSVG, doing more together.
OSBG, doing more together.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines. T20 cricket is back at the Arnesville Sports Complex. The West Indies women versus Australia women. Way outside. March 19th, 21st, and 23rd at 6:30 p.m. sharp. Entry is free for everyone. Bring the entire family and let's rally with our Maroon Warriors. We outside at Arnesville. Don't miss it. Visit windiescricket.com for full